Good morning, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started here. We are look to be 8:30 on the button here. So with that, again, good morning. I'm going to go ahead and call to order today's meeting for the Nevada Board of Wildlife Commissioners for Saturday, June 14th. And if we could stand for the pledge, and if I could have maybe Commissioner Barnes lead us in the pledge. All right, and maybe if I could have the department do a roll call, please.
Chairman Rogers.
Here.
Vice Chair Young. Commissioner Barnes.
Here.
Commissioner Booth.
Here.
Commissioner Bourne.
Here.
Commissioner Caviglia. Commissioner Hill. Commissioner McNinch. Commissioner Walker.
Here.
All right, and with that, if I could maybe have any county advisory boards members in attendance here in Elko, please stand and be recognized. And maybe if I could have you come down to the mic, state your name.
Good morning, Chrissy Pope, Nye County.
Jim Cooney, Elko.
Wyatt Mesna, Elko.
Steve Marcus, White Pine.
Glenn Bunch, Mineral.
Joe Krim, Pershing.
All right, thank you. And how about any county advisory board members in attendance via Zoom? If I could have you. Okay. And Linda, are we under the same today, hovering over the heart and the, all right, perfect. All right, so noted that Paul Howe, Douglas County, he is attending via Zoom. All right, with that, we will move to agenda item 17. This is public comment period, informational. Public comment will be limited to 3 minutes. No action can be taken by the commission at this time. Any item requiring commission action may be scheduled on a future commission agenda. Persons making comments are asked to begin by stating their name for the record. So with that, any public comment here this morning in Elko? All right, seeing no public comment here in Elko, how about public comment via Zoom? All right, no public comment via Zoom, so we will move on to agenda item 18. This is approval of agenda for possible action. The commission will review the agenda and may take action to approve the agenda for June 14, 2025. The commission may remove items from the agenda, continue items for consideration, or take items out of order. So with that, anything from the commission regarding today's agenda? All right, yes, Director Janae.
Just in the spirit of soaking up a little bit of time so we can grab something, but we will have a little bit of presentation here in the next agenda item in member announcements. So that'll be a little bit longer than usual.
Wonderful. All good. All right. Anything else? All right. With that, I will send that out for any public comment here in Elko. So any public comment regarding today's agenda? All right. Seeing none. How about any public comment via Zoom regarding today's agenda? All right. I will bring it back to the commission for any further discussion, questions, or motion. Or
make a motion to approve the agenda for June 14th, 2025.
Wonderful. Good. So we have a motion for approval from Commissioner Walther, a second from Commissioner Barnes. All those in, Commissioner Bourne. All those in favor with aye? Aye. Any opposed? Right. And with that, do I need to slow down even a little bit?
Just briefly, I think we can absolutely get started. We've got some plaques that are walking into the room right here, and we're ready to rock and roll.
All right, so this is item 19. This is member item announcements, correspondence, informational. Commissioners may present emergent items. No action may be taken by the commission. Any item requiring commission action may be scheduled on a future commission agenda. The commission will review and may discuss correspondence sent or received by the commission since the last regular meeting and may provide copies for the exhibit file. Correspondence sent to receive by Secretary Janae may also be discussed. And with that, I don't believe there was any additional correspondence or anything like that received since the okay, perfect. Easy enough. Yes, sir.
And then just briefly, Chairman Rogers, I just wanted to address yesterday, Ms. Kleiber discussing the issue concerning the state wildlife grants to the tune of $3 million. I would seek some guidance from the department on this and see where the commission's at, but I recognize it's not agendized. Suggest perhaps we could do a quick Zoom to discuss a letter of support to be sent to the Nevada delegation and other appropriate members and government bodies to try and provide some support on that issue. And I recognize the timing's fairly sensitive, so I would seek some guidance on when and how quickly we may be able to do something like that.
Yeah, thank you for the record, Alan Janae. And so absolutely appreciate that idea. I know in discussions with our National Association, American Fisheries Wildlife Association, that represents the 50 state wildlife agencies, in discussions with them, what they're expecting is this is going to come down to a budget push, is adjusting the budget. And so I think absolutely reaching out to Nevada's congressionals to understand that these, how important these Section 6 and state wildlife grant funds are to the agency would be helpful. And so, yeah, if you guys would like, we can absolutely help you pull together that information and draft a letter for the congressionals. It's up to you if you'd like to call a Zoom meeting or if you'd just like us to provide the information and provide a draft and for you guys' approval.
And I'd just say we do the latter if everyone's supportive of it.
Yeah, that would be fine. Yeah, if that's something that we can do, and excuse me, and have you draft something, that'd be perfect.
You bet. We'll get that out. We'll probably shoot for 2 weeks, and we'll be in correspondence to let you know where it's at.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, and thank you, Commissioner Walter, for bringing that up. That's great. Yes, Director Janae.
So, for the record, Alan Janae. So today, as is every June, there's always that moment where we have 3 commissioners appointed to this 9-member commission every year. And so every June becomes this scenario of we could possibly see, 3 people contemplate leaving the commission. This year we have 2 members that are leaving the commission, both very, very tenured individuals, Commissioner Barnes and Commissioner McNinch. I can't, as far as the department, I can't speak highly enough about the input and the leadership that they've both brought to the department and to the commission, both in different ways. I look at Commissioner Barnes and the amount of work that he's done within the Heritage Committee and kind of making sure that that money hits the ground and that it actually becomes truly, you know, trying to be that uplifting force on conservation, to try to get those projects out and on the ground. And as he reflected yesterday, his resistance towards research is notable. But absolutely just wanted to provide an opportunity. We've got a couple plaques here. As far as Commissioner McNinch, I literally, it's amazing. Commissioner Barnes has been on 9 years. Commissioner McNinch, in 2 different intervals, has been, by our records, and he might correct us, 23 years of service. And I would say, while I did not go to college with Commissioner McNinch, many of the guys that I've worked with, many of the guys that I run with, were in that same cohort. And so he's got a wildlife background. He actually, went to college with the same group of guys. At the same, so literally, to me, he's almost that cohort. Been involved in conservation, wildlife conservation for a very long time. And the 23 years of service here are a far cry short of actually what he's done. I can show you pictures from college of the crazy stuff that he was doing when they were doing antelope captures and things like that, and traipsing around Nevada's wild. But I've always admired, the fact that Dave is always willing to talk. No matter how tough the circumstances are up here, as Dave is always open to every member of the public, no matter which side. And I think that's just an admirable trait, and greatly appreciate the time that he's put forth. And so we've got some plaques here that we'd like to present, or if you would like to, sir, it's actually got your name, Chairman Shane Rogers, on here, and I'll hand these to you, and we can get some pictures. We'll go by alphabetical order.
What do you want?
What do you think? Out in front of the.
Yeah. Another one. 1, 2, 3.
I'm good. You good? Don't go too far. We'll get a good picture here. Okay. If you don't mind, I'd like to let's get it. Yeah. Good deal. Thank you, sir. Thanks. And Tom, one more thing. We do have presentation because we know that we won't ever see Tom again. Commissioner McNinch, I can have an expectation that I can actually get him back in vicinity. Commissioner Barnes, I know we will not see him unless we come to Elko to see him. So what we have done as a department, we put together this kind of a little representation and a thank you for your time on the commission. the top here, we've got a picture of his ranch.
Oh, wow.
Below, we've got a picture of him giving us all of his words of wisdom on his ranch. And so it just says Nevada Board of Wildlife Commissioners recognizes Tom Barnes with appreciation of your efforts to create, enhance, conserve special places. Many thanks for all you do to Nevada and Wildlife Commission Service, August 18th, 2006. Thank you. Literally enjoyed all the years on Heritage and truly getting the money on the ground. And I just want to say, we are going to do very much the same as what you saw here for Tom Barnes with a party and with a plaque for Commissioner McNinch at his place and choice. I think it's one of the coolest things about the commission is the fact that at the end of each individual service is the opportunity to invite their friends, their family to come in and celebrate their time and their service. We don't take it lightly. To anybody, you know, from the cabs, from the commission, from the department, to give up 2 days, 7 times a year to sit in this room and contemplate Nevada's wildlife conservation issues. It's not a small task. And I know the amount of pressure that the commissioners are under. You know, you get a lot of social pressure on you. And in these days of social media, it's probably even more heightened. And hopefully none of you ever visit those sites because we don't know much about what we're doing. So, but absolutely want to express our gratitude and say thanks. And we'll miss you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Director Janae, for that wonderful presentation. And with that, maybe Mr. Barnes, Mr. McNinch, if you guys wanted to say anything, the floor is certainly yours, Commissioner Barnes.
Well, thank you, but I'm going to defer to Commissioner McNinch first. He's got me in seniority, so I'll let him go first.
There's not going to be any tissue paper left. It just seems like a long time. It'll just be a second here. Good call. Go back to my comfort zone. Well, look, it's this is why I tried to say what I need to do last night. It's been a long time. It's been a big part of my life. Like you guys know, I'm preaching to the choir. You guys understand, but the folks here from the department, some of these guys have been here. Well, I know a few of them, pushing 40 years. So my time here has just been a fragment of what they've done. And there are folks out here that will probably stick around long beyond what's financially in their best interest, just because it means so much. And it means that much to me too. Appreciate you guys sharing that part of your life with me all these years. I did go to school. I did get a degree. I actually got a degree like Mike. And yeah, there were some wild times. And I see Jack in the audience, and Jack and I go way back too. It's probably a miracle that we're here for many different reasons. You thought we did crazy things with our stuff. Yeah. Um, uh, Last time we were here, it was Jack's last meeting, and I wasn't sure if he was alive the next morning, to be quite honest with you. So at least he was pretty quiet, but it was quite a run. And I jotted down a bunch of things like, what can I say? I've had the opportunity to impart all my knowledge for a long time. So I'm sitting here like, what do you say? What do you say? I'll save you for last. Yeah. So, um, we have had a lot of real difficult issues. Things do get personal. I've never felt that from you guys. Never felt it from anybody in the room here, and I appreciate that. It's not easy, and if I had to throw anything out there, be curious. You know, um, keep your mind open to broadening your perspectives. You guys do that. You're challenged. I've challenged you the whole time I've been on this commission. You guys have taken it very, very well. I appreciate that, but continue to push those boundaries. I've had my boundaries pushed in ways that you can't even imagine. I may not express it here, but I go home. My wife can tell you. I go home and I sit there and I'm just like, okay, I didn't really think of that. How does it fit into how does it fit in now? What does it mean? How does it change my opinion or um, my vote? And I've always tried to be really forthcoming and honest with everybody about where I'm at, and it's all you can do. Just be honest about it, and have the integrity to just I try, and so be curious. Keep your mind open to other opinions. You can have people in here. Yesterday there's a lot of big ticket items on the schedule on the thing, but it's like if we have these big disagreements, you're not able to consider or talk to other people that disagree with you. That's not who any of you are. It's not, but we've got a lot of folks out there that think that way because we disagree that you have to be mortal enemies. You can't get alongside of each other on the things you do agree about and push them forward. I've done that up here. That's been reciprocated. We talk about it all the time. We have disagreement. We take our votes. We walk out of here and we go have dinner together and we visit. We talk about each other's families and we do stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with handling things like that. So keep pushing. You guys know how to do that. You guys have shown me how to do that. And it's like, well, how do I? There's so many people to thank, so many things to say. I guess the one thing that I've wondered is, how do we find a way to instead of throwing layers on the onion, how do we find ways to peel those off? Without compromising our core values, our convictions. We all have fat around those values. We should challenge ourselves to trim it a little bit. he said, do I need to grab a box of Kleenex? I said, no, they're all over up there, and he'll use his. So anyway, I can't tell you how much I appreciate the department, the staff, cabs. You guys have treated me so well. I appreciate it. Huge part of my life, and none of it would have been possible without my wife. So I thank her, the kids. As you might imagine, it's pretty tough haul. When I first started here, we only had 3 kids, and they were all a royal pain in the ass. And then when the 4th one came along, I have no idea how she did it, but she has given me the opportunity to do this, and I love her, and I appreciate that. Thank you. That's enough.
Thank you for that, Dave. Yes, Commissioner Barnes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dave, you and I had a discussion last night, so I'm not really gonna go there.
Thanks.
But I do want to say that I've always appreciated you as a commissioner and what you brought to this commission with your historical knowledge. Being here for so long, you know, we go along like, okay, where do we go now? And I'd always look down the road at you, and I'd look at you, and you'd feel compelled to say something. So I appreciate that. So I appreciate you as a commissioner, but more importantly, I appreciate you as a human being.
Thank you.
So thank you very much.
I reciprocate that.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Barnes, did you have anything you wanted to? Okay, all right.
No. I'm
Well,
good. Thank you for bearing with me. You knew it was coming. We got through it. It'll be okay. So,
well, I
fine.
yeah, no, I will say this about Commissioner McNinch. I mean, it has certainly been my honor to serve with Dave on this commission and certainly chair this commission as well. But you know, you think about you know both Dave and Tom for that matter, and we're talking over 30 years of intellectual capital and dedication and commitment. And sacrifice that has gone on for them personally, for their families. You know, the other thing, you know, Dave, I'll say this, you know, over 23 years, you know, certainly your leadership, your dedication, the wisdom. I mean, as a first time commissioner, when I came on the commission, chatting with you and again, just being a sponge of knowledge for your wisdom, having served so long on the commission has been invaluable to me. And the thing that I think is most rewarding and should be most rewarding for yourself and for your family is that, you know, when you leave here today as your last, you know, commission meeting, walking out of here with your, you know, chest out and head held high, knowing full well that the policies and things that you've done for this commission, particularly this state, is going to live on for generations and generations. The impact and the stamp that, again, you've put on Nevada's wildlife is indelible. So anyway, so for me personally, I really do thank you again for your time served, for your friendship, and everything that you've brought to the commission. So, and me personally. So thank you very much, Dave. I really, really appreciate you. Yeah. You ready yet, Commissioner Barnes?
Okay, here I go.
All right.
Well, you know, I made some notes, but really, where do you start? So I thought, well, I'm just going to talk from the heart. And you guys are used to me stammering and stuttering up here anyway, so this is nothing new. But this has been a great experience for me. It's been very challenging, but also very rewarding. And I think that, you know, all the commissioners understand that. And if not, at some point you will. We go through so much, talk about so many different issues. but I think maybe that's what makes it so rewarding is that, it's a challenge. And I was asked, what did you always like most about the commission? And it was really pretty simple. It was the people that you serve with and the people that you work with on the department. And for me, that's what was the most important. Somewhere along the line, I think in the middle of all that, I hope I did some good for Nevada's wildlife. But really, it was all about the people. It's really unique and probably the most satisfying thing that I've ever done. So, there's so many people that make it possible. So you need to think. And so where do you start? So I guess unlike Dave, I'm going to start with my wife because otherwise I'm going to forget. But I need to thank her because without the support of your family, it makes it hard to serve on these boards, anything else you do. And she's always been there to support me. So thank you to her. And I want to thank the commissioners. It's an honor to serve with you guys. Everybody brings so much to this commission in their own way. Everybody says, well, they talk this way or they can say that. And I'm like, well, yeah, they do. But everybody brings something and everybody has a different idea that somebody doesn't have. And so when we finish with something, it's been thought out. And I think we present the best thing we can at the time. And that's really kind of unique and kind of a neat thing that we have going here, and then the NDOW staff. Geez, I really, thank you. And I appreciate you guys. And I understand now because I didn't have that understanding when we started the passion with which you guys do your job. You are doing your job because it's something you love and it's something you're passionate about. And I have the same thing with what I do. And so we have really a lot in common, maybe more common than we really realize. And Tony told me that a long time ago. He says, we have more in common than we do. And that's so true because we have that passion for being outside and Nevada's resources. So, and I appreciate getting to know a lot of the staff over the years. It's enriched my life. So, so thank you guys for all that too. Probably one of the highlights, and Alan mentioned earlier, being on the commission was chairing the Heritage Committee. And I'd like to thank the chairman that let me do that, the opportunity, because I've said it before, we deal with so many issues and tough things, but the heritage is the good stuff in my mind. That's the stuff that we get to put on the ground to see the real benefit of. So for me, that was probably a highlight. And I was really honored and humbled to be able to chair that committee. And it meant a lot to me. So with that, a few things that I want to mention to this commission, that Nevada is unique in its resources, in its people, and its culture. So as you guys talk about regulation and policy, remember how unique Nevada is, and stay true to Nevada's culture and tradition and hunting. And heritage, that money needs to be kept on the ground. We have money for research and stuff now. So yeah, so those of you, and I am going to pay attention to that. So that's where that needs to go. And being the livestock representative, I got to mention this, and I truly believe this, that what's good for livestock is good for wildlife. And what's good for ranching is good for wildlife. So I want to leave you with those few thoughts. But this whole process and experience has made me a better person. And the people, the staff, the commissioners have enriched my life. So with that, thank you guys very much. And it's been an honor and a privilege to serve on this commission. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Commissioner Barnes. And likewise, I can't thank you enough for your service, for your dedicated service, for your friendship to me. Again, as I mentioned earlier, as a young freshman commissioner coming on the commission and trying to be a sponge for all of this information. Turning to Tom was a highlight for me, and his thought leadership, his commitment to responsible wildlife management here in Nevada has made a major impact on this state. And you mentioned your work on the Heritage Committee, Tom. I think one nice thing for yourself is you again come off the commission and travel around the state, and to be able to see with your own eyes the good work that you've been able to do through the Heritage Committee. And as you mentioned, that money coming right on the ground. I mean, those are things that you're going to be able to tell your grandkids, and people are going to be, telling for generations. Again, that good work, the money right here on the ground for all of Nevada's wildlife. So I hope you're very proud of that because that is an indelible, lasting impact on Nevada's wildlife. So thank you very, very much for that. And I hope you guys, neither one of you, think that this is it. I mean, we're not going to let you go that easy. I mean, we're going to continue to reach out to you again for my own selfish personal reasons, as I mentioned, for to have 30 plus years of intellectual capital. Your phones are going to keep ringing. I'm going to keep leaning on you guys for your thoughts and your ideas, and again that wisdom that you guys have brought me over the years. So anyway, so we're not going to let you go that easy. We're going to still be in touch. So, but again, can't thank you enough, Tom, for your friendship and dedication to this commission, and certainly the state of Nevada. So thank you, Tom. With that, any other commissioners want to? Yeah, Commissioner Walther.
I'll try to keep it brief because I've talked to you both. Certainly going to be missed on the commission. Getting on here, the knowledge that you guys have imparted and the history is just absolutely invaluable. You guys may or may not know it, but both of you have been tremendous mentors to me. Always making yourself available for conversation, and I truly appreciate that. Tom, I'll do my best being on Heritage to make sure that stays on track, and appreciate your leadership there. Dave, it may not seem like it when you're getting arrows flung at you, but having watched this commission over the years and now being on it with you, I just want to say, the discourse surrounding some of these more hot button issues truly is in a much better place because of the time and the conversations that you put into everybody involved. And I just want to thank you both for your service.
Thank you. Yes, Commissioner Booth.
Yes, now that the senior class is graduating, I'm not far behind, but I'd like to thank Jack Robb out in the audience for the opportunity to be on the commission and meet such fine individuals. It seems like when I go hunting nowadays or go out on a trip, my kids ask, why don't you go here? Why don't you go there? And I tell them, I said, I'm too old to go with people I don't know and don't want to be with. And so I choose my path of my directions, and the opportunity to be on this commission with individuals like Tom and Dave has really taught me a lot. And we're going to miss you very much. So thank you for everything you've done. We appreciate it.
Yes, Commissioner Warren.
In life, I guess you can have money, you can have fame, you can have power, you can have all of those things. But if you don't have integrity, respect from your peers, you don't have anything. And you too ultimately have my ultimate respect. Thank you very much.
Right. Thank you, Commissioner Bourne. Deputy Director McAdoo, did you?
Well, thanks. I just wanted to say, extend my appreciation for both Commissioner Barn and McNinch. I've known both of them for a really long time. I was reminiscing last night with Commissioner McNinch. He and Jack were both on the hiring panel 2002, so 23 years ago, when I came to work for the department. Just watching Commissioner McNinch as a younger man. Some people think I am still a young man, although my daughters tell me otherwise. Just selfless, respectful, in all of your actions is truly admirable. And your dedication to conservation in the state of Nevada, the endurance that you've had through unbelievable topics across your tenure is just truly admirable. And I appreciate you standing up for all wildlife, not just game species, but all the wildlife that call Nevada home. So I appreciate you and all you've done, your leadership, and really a lasting, for both commissioners, just a lasting influence and legacy for the state of Nevada, for the citizens. Really appreciate it. Commissioner Barnes, I've known for quite some time too. And when I think about Commissioner Barnes' influence, I think it was Mr. Messna yesterday mentioned that the relationship between the agriculture industry and the Department of Wildlife perhaps has never been stronger than it is now. And I think a large part of that can be contributed to Commissioner Barnes and his work and bridging those gaps and building those relationships. And really just a phenomenal influence in bringing wildlife and ranching in alignment and reminding us how much we do have in common, as you said. Again, I think about the tenure of both of you and just that selfless commitment. Gonna miss you both, but you're not gonna get away that easy. I'm sure we'll see you again. So thanks.
All right, wonderful. Great. Yes, Director Janae.
I don't want to stop anybody else that wants to say anything, but I typically in this scenario, it's a great time for a scheduled break, just 5-10 minutes to allow the commissioners opportunities with family and friends that are in the room.
You were reading my mind. We got to gather ourselves. We got to restock on some tissue and push on with our meeting. But anyway, with that, yeah, let's take a it's 9:50. Let's take a 15-minute break. Let's come back here at 9:30. So thank you.
You did good.
Yeah, all right. Yeah. I was hoping to get out of here by the
No, I know.
It's been good. You might be good. I mean, so you can. Yeah, I was gonna need you here. Yeah. Yeah. She doesn't just feel it.
I mean,
Yeah.
Now you share it, but you're not asking.
Yeah, I don't have any. Let's. So. Wow.
Yeah, it's all comfortable. Yeah. It's good. Sometimes. Some of the toughest. Oh, yeah, yeah. Yes. Just like you, just switch jobs. What do you do? You showed me. Jim. Everybody see the retires. Easy.
We can take our seats and get going again. All right, everybody. Let's go ahead and get started again. All right, I think we've got everybody. All right, and before we move on here, we have restocked on tissue, so we're good there. And we do have a couple of folks in the audience, and I apologize. I'd be remiss if I didn't allow these two individuals to say a few things about Commissioner Barnes and Commissioner McNinch. So with that, maybe if I could have Jack Robb come on up to the mic.
Thank you very much. Jack Robb for the record. We all form opinions and make decisions on data. And I can tell you, if you don't get more data, it's easy to validate your own perspective when you only deal with people like-minded. And I think what Dave McNinch has done is he's tried to increase our data, and Dave has a ton of data. With his tenure, with his time at OFWA and WAFWA, Dave's seen what's going on in wildlife management, Colorado, Washington, Oregon, California. Dave has a lot of data, and I think he's tried to share that data and open some viewpoints and get you to think about things a little broader sometimes. And I think that's what Dave brought to this commission. And I, for one, didn't always agree with him, but I, for one, always respected his viewpoint and where he was coming from at all times. And I know he respected my viewpoint and where I was coming from. You know, every once in a while, Dave would challenge the bear numbers, and it was the same day he's challenging bear numbers. I think he backed over bear shit, leaving his own driveway in West Reno there. So it just, Dave brought a lot to the commission, brought a lot of knowledge. And what Dave, I think, has taken away from this more than anything is friendships. All over Nevada, but then all over the West. And a lot of people respect Dave Westwhite for his knowledge of wildlife management, his history in wildlife management. And he's not only helped out the state of Nevada, but he's helped out a lot of other states. Worked through some very tough issues because Dave always seems to find himself in the middle of those tough issues. So thank you for what you've done for wildlife. Thank you for your friendship. Thank you for putting up with me. We put up with each other for a long time, 40 plus years. When we were digging post holes at Tall Fence, I don't think either one of us knew the journey we'd be on together. So that lack of didn't think anybody'd be dumb. And I do want to. Dave mentioned it, but I really think, and you guys know as commissioners, it's hard on you as a commissioner, but I really think it's hard on your family and your spouse. The phone calls, the mood swings because of some of those phone calls. It's not an easy task, and I think a lot of times it's harder on your spouse because your spouse knows the integrity you bring to things, and when people attack that, it's hard on spouses. So want to recognize that also. Mr. Barnes, if you look at Boyce, Spratling, Reardon, Morai, you're in a pretty select crowd there. You had big shoes to fill, and you filled them very well. Your industry is proud of you. You represented them well. Both of you gentlemen always came with your cards on the table. No hidden agenda. Here's who I am. Here's what I represent. Here's what I believe. It was always right there. So both of you did that. Appreciate your friendship. Appreciate the early morning phone calls. You don't talk to them too late in the evening, but you get early morning phone calls. But no, I can't thank you two enough for what you've done for wildlife, but also for the friendship. So appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Jack.
Hi, Tiffany East for the record. I don't want to cry, but I'm going to. So I'm going to start with Dave. As the former chairman and commissioner with Dave, I relied on him a lot. I had him chair committees that I knew he knew the intricacies of the policies and the regulations that we were trying to refine. And he just brought so much to that I just really, really value that part of what you brought to the table. But you also brought so much more. And as Jack said, you've been on one side of the other at times, and we always haven't agreed, but you always listen. And the one thing that I think people don't realize is when you sit up there, you don't just represent sportsmen or agriculture or ranching or the general public. You represent everybody because everyone calls you. And you also represent an industry of your career choice. And so you have that too. And Tom's lucky because his always coincided, but sometimes ours didn't. And so I think, Dave, you've brought so much to this commission, and the service that you've dedicated over the years is just invaluable to this and the legacy that you leave. And I know I see things very differently when I travel throughout Nevada, and I think about all of you and everything you've brought to this. And it's just so very special. So I want to thank you for that. And your friendship, because I know we've had a lot of long conversations together. And there's people that call you and you think, oh no, do I want to take this phone call right now? I know it's an hour. But with Dave, it always was such I wouldn't say a pleasure, but because it wasn't always pleasant what we had to talk about, but we did it together, and I respected that. We did. And I told you last night, I didn't coin this, but I think you have more respect from especially this commission and past commissioners and sportsmen than maybe you realize. And there are some that are just hard-headed, and they'll never realize how much you bring to sportsmen and to wildlife. So I want to share that. And Mr. Barnes, he was my first pal on the commission. I sat between him and Tony my first meeting, and I just knew he was a really, really good guy. From that experience, he'd lean over and whisper at me, and the early morning phone calls. He's about the only one I'll take a phone call from at 6 o'clock in the morning, besides my kids. But just a really special friend, and I so appreciate you and all you've done. And the Heritage Committee, holy cow, who's filling those shoes? Is it you, Mario? Because those are big shoes to fill. But you are a really, really good special friend, and I so appreciate all that you've brought to me and the guidance and leadership that you shared with me as my first vice chair. I think we're a good team, and I so value you and respect you. So thanks, you guys. You bet. Have a good rest of your meeting.
Thank you, Tiffany. All right. That was wonderful. And again, thank you both very, very much. We really appreciate it. I think hopefully, through all those wonderful comments, just how much, again, you folks are both loved and respected and appreciated. So you bet. All right. Now back to the business at hand for today. We are on agenda item 20. This is County Advisory Board's Managed Wildlife Informational. County Advisory Board members may present emergent items. No action may be taken by the commission. Any item requiring commission action will be scheduled on a future commission agenda. So with that, any community advisory board members here in Elko with any member items? All right, seeing none here in the room in Elko, how about via Zoom? Any county advisory board member items? All right, seeing none there. we will move on to agenda item 21, and this is Legislative Committee for possible action. Management Analyst Alejandra Medina. A final report will be presented on the committee's recent meetings and the results of the 2025 legislative session. The commission may still choose to review bills of interest and any associated amendments, consider legislative committee recommendations, and may take official positions on those bills. The commission may also choose to develop platforms on bills by supporting or opposing general concept. Bill and BDR language may be revised online at that appropriate link. So with that, oh, there she is. Alejandra, good morning.
Good morning, Management Analyst Alejandra Medina for the record. As you all know, the 2025 Nevada legislative session has adjourned on June 2nd, 2025 as required by the Nevada Constitution. And we are now seeing the final status of all bills, including those bills tracked by the Commission. And before I provide my final report, I wanted to thank the legislative committee members for their active support and participation this session. And I also wanted to thank Director Janae for his support as we navigated the policies being brought forward this session. So you should all have a printout in front of you, and I'm just going to go down the list, starting with Senate Bill 235. This bill was signed by the governor and takes effect October 1, 2025. As enrolled, this bill allows a person to openly take shed antlers, dead heads, or bones from a carcass of any species or wildlife for which a tag is required if such a part of the carcass is exposed, dry bone resulting from natural processes, including without limitations, scavenging, decomposition, or weathering. And the Nevada Board of Wildlife Commission opposed this bill. Assembly Bill 242, which required the creation of a sagebrush ecosystem damage mitigation program, has died. Assembly Bill 85, which allowed the Nevada Board of Wildlife Commission to manage invertebrates of greatest conservation need, has died. Assembly Bill 59, which is a department bill, was signed by the governor and became effective June 3rd, 2025. As enrolled, this bill updates the ban on feeding wildlife to include all wild mammals, prohibits the taking of game birds that have been baited, makes it illegal to bring into the state excrements or bodily fluids of certain animals, classifies moose as a trophy big game mammal, which allows for higher civil penalty to be issued to any person who unlawfully kills or possesses a moose, updates the definition of antler point, and eliminates the alternative livestock permit program. The Nevada Board of Wildlife Commission supported Assembly Bill 59. Assembly Bill 87, which would have appropriated $5 million to wildlife crossings, has died. Assembly Bill 9, which was related to the conservation of water rights for wildlife purposes, has died. Senate Bill 101, which would have eliminated the edible portions exemption for mountain lions and black bears, has died. Senate Bill 215 has been signed by the governor and will take effect October 1, 2025. As enrolled, this bill requires the Nevada Board of Wildlife Commission to adopt regulations for the issuance of salvage permits. The Nevada Board of Wildlife Commission was in support of this bill. Assembly Bill 132 has been signed by the governor and takes effect October 1, 2025. As enrolled, this bill increases the capacity of guzzlers to 40,000 gallons or less and the pipe length of half a mile or less. The Nevada Board of Wildlife Commission supported Assembly Bill 132. Assembly Bill 486 has been signed by the governor and takes effect July 1, 2025. As enrolled, this bill requires the Nevada Department of Transportation to report certain information on the progress and need for projects related to wildlife, such as wildlife crossings. The Nevada Board of Wildlife Commission was in support of Assembly Bill 486. Assembly Bill 429 has been signed by the governor and takes effect October 1, 2025. As enrolled, this bill expands who can enter into an easement for conservation, and the Nevada Board of Wildlife Commission was in support of this bill. Assembly Bill 548, which sought to move the fee setting authority of vessel registrations to the Nevada Board of Wildlife Commission, has died. Assembly Bill 501 has been signed by the governor and takes effect July 1, 2025. As enrolled, this bill authorizes the approval of academic credit for outdoor recreational activities. And last on the list, we've got Assembly Bill 245, which would have prohibited a person under 21 years of age from possessing a semi-automatic shotgun or rifle, and that's been vetoed by the governor. And with that, I stand for any questions.
All right. Thank you for that, Alejandra. Any questions from the commission at this time? Yep, Commissioner Walter.
I have no questions, but since Chairman Young isn't here, I want to thank him for his leadership. No, but Paul, absolutely invaluable asset to the committee. His knowledge in that building is, absolutely exceptional. I want to thank Public Representative Teal for her contributions. She's a busy lady and really took the time to have the conversations with me and Paul in regards to some of these issues, and I appreciate that. And I think most importantly, I want to thank you, Ms. Medina, for keeping us on track. It's really no small task with how fast things are moving, and all of us have stuff going on, and you do a tremendous job. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for that. Anything? Yes, Director Janae.
Thank you for the record, Alan. Janae, so absolutely, not to interrupt, but just wanted to thank Legislative Committee. Those are always very exciting times when session's going, and appreciate the leadership and guidance of the commission and support that the commission brought. And so absolutely appreciate Paul Young and his chairing of that committee, but also to all the members. And then finally, to all the staff and our staff that, assisted. We're trying to gain more experience in that building and get more staff that are up to speed, but definitely Alejandra Medina's guidance and relationships and support down there in that building, babysitting bills, trying to keep things on task and keep me on task. Absolutely appreciate it. So,
which is not a small job.
I am glad the session is over. Thank you.
All right. Anything else from the commission? I would just real quickly echo that. I mean, it is a heavy lift for the legislative committee under normal conditions, but when legislation, the things are in session, it is beyond a heavy lift. And to have the great leadership of Paul Young and his intellectual capital down in Carson City, and the good work of Alejandra and others, Mario and others on that committee is just fantastic. So great work shepherding all those items. Appreciate that. All right. If there's anything else, I know there was an action item, but I don't think there's anything to do at this point. So appreciate that update, and we will move on. We are now on to agenda item number 22A. This is Finance Committee Report. Committee Chairman Shane Rogers. Informational report will be provided on the recent Finance Committee meeting. All right. So with that, the Finance Committee, we did meet and held a meeting on Wednesday, May 14, 2025. We had a couple of items on the agenda. One, we did have a brief presentation on the fiscal year 2025 through 2027 biennial budget of the Department of Wildlife that Jordan Goschert presented to us, and a number of different items with regards to that presentation, really around some budgetary asks, and just kind of walk through what that process was. And then also we had we had discussion around the county advisory boards to manage wildlife, their state fiscal year 2026 budget requests. So we had a number of obviously discussions around those particular items as well. And that was really about the extent of the the Finance Committee. It's something really we meet on annually, and really kind of get in the weeds a little bit on that budget process with the cabs. But anyway, that was the Finance Committee, and I'll certainly entertain any questions if the commission has any questions or comments or anything on Finance Committee. All right. Perfect. Seeing none, we will, where my pen went. All right. So seeing none, we will move on from 22A to 20.
Shane, one
Oh,
moment.
yeah.
Just on the Finance Committee, I would like to commend all the CAB members that have been attending. And I do recall that, and I don't have that budget in front of me, but those individual CAB counties that are not in attendance, I don't think they received any funding, did they?
No.
Okay.
They did not.
And that was just for the record. And again, with the support from the CAB members that are here, I think it's important that you know that me personally, but I think that as a whole, the commission really listens to what you have to say and what you bring to the table. So thank you.
Right. Perfect. Thank you for that, Commissioner Booth. So again, with that, we will move on to 22B. This is fiscal year 2026 County Advisory Board to Manage Wildlife for possible action. Wildlife budget requests. And this is, again, Finance Committee Chairman Shane Rogers. The commission will consider and may approve an amount to fund the county advisory boards to manage wildlife for fiscal year 2026. The Finance Committee recommended to approve an allocation of $34,361 at their meeting on May 14, 2025. The commission may discuss approving funding up to $38,573. All right. So again, at the committee, we did go over each of the individual counties and looked at and had reporting from those various counties on their current balance and any budget request that they were seeking. And all told, the recommendation was again for $34,361. We did have a amount to be able to budget of $38,573, but after further discussion, we did end up approving the $34,361. And then again, of note, Esmeralda County and Story County did not have really any participation, feedback, or requests from Esmeralda and Story County. So anyway, so that was on the docket. Again, that's what the committee came out of the committee, that approval for the $34,361 for fiscal year 2026. So with that, I'll certainly entertain any questions or comments from the, yes, Commissioner McNinch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I guess two questions. It's indicating that Esmeralda and Story should have cash on hand. Is that my understanding? Yeah.
Yes. Jordan, if you want to expand on that, please.
Good morning. Can you hear me? Jordan Goshert for the record. That's correct, Commissioner McNinch. Story County did report back to us saying that they had zero cash on hand, but we never received anything from Esmeralda.
Okay, but they in fact should have some money on hand.
That's correct. Yeah. For Story County, we transferred them $1,000 in fiscal year 22, and I don't believe they have processed any reimbursements.
Yeah, I guess I just hate. I mean, this has happened once or twice on the time I've been on the board, and it might be a good time to circle back with them. And I think at one time we even cleared their balances, didn't we? And just zero them out and just said, send the money back if you're not going to use it. And then I think we went back and said, well, we're going to give you some seed money in case you do choose to come. We want you here. And that's probably what this money was for right here. But, I mean, it adds up over time if you do this 2 or 3 times over a period of time, it results in a few $1,000s that may or may not be accounted for properly. So I was just wondering if they should have been reporting those balances through their office.
Yeah, Jordan Goshert, for the record, they should be reporting the cash on hand. But like I stated, we received a response from their controller and she reported 0. And we received a response from the CAB as well, stating that they would not be attending the commission meetings. So they weren't requesting any funds.
Okay. And then I had one other really quick question in it. Just one of those weird things that, we changed this meeting. This meeting was in Yarrington. And, these budgets are built on this. It's very unusual for us to change a meeting late in the game. So cabs are budgeting their travel based on what's out in front of them. And then we changed this meeting to Elko. If they have a discrepancy or are not able to, how is there a recourse for them to come back and if they needed to? I don't know.
Yeah, Jordan Goshert, for the record. I do know at least one county did reach out stating that there may be an issue with funding. It was too late to reconvene the committee or bring it to the commission at the time that they brought it forward. So we're hoping that once we transfer the cash for fiscal 26, it will help cover those costs. And then if they need additional in FY 26, that they reach out to us so we can get back with this body to get them more funding.
Do an amendment or something.
Yeah.
Or an augmentation, I guess. Okay. All right. Thank you. I was just curious.
Yeah, no, great question. Thank you for that, Commissioner McNinch. Anything else from the commission at this time? Questions? Comments? All right. Seeing none, let's go ahead and send this item out for any public comment here in Elko. So any public comment here in Elko with regards to 22B?
Glenn Bunch Mineral. I'm the county in reference to. I had to adjust my voucher that I turn into the county because if I had to turn my voucher in as the per diem is projected, I would have had to have went back after the first of the year and reimbursed the overage that they paid me out of my pocket because it's the end of the year and they can't go into that in the red. It has to be in the black or even with the board. So I was unable to pay the recording person to take care of the minutes and get them out to you people. And I had to adjust the mileage that I traveled so that my voucher that I turn in Monday will reflect that, but I will have $8 left in my account. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment here in Elko? All right. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and see if there's any public comment via Zoom.
Good morning. For the record, verbatim record, Fred Volz. When an individual contracts with a business to build a fence, drill a well, or fix a vehicle, they do not make payment if the work isn't done. The long-term problem every cab appearing at and contributing to every commission meeting as required by NRS has not been solved. Only 6 out of 15 showed up today. With the department doing a better job of offering Zoom access for committee and commission meetings, a cab representative does not need to travel long distances to participate. Yet during the Finance Committee meeting, it was inaccurately said we need to start keeping track of their attendance. That's already done through the commission meeting minutes, and it is a sorry track record going back many years. It was also said that it is such a small amount of money that we shouldn't concern ourselves with attendance and participation levels. Would any of you handle your personal finances with such a cavalier attitude? Do you expect to be paid your stipend if you don't attend these meetings? Cab money is public money you are gratuitously and fraudulently handing out if the public receives no value in return. There is a simple incentive you could establish if you are genuinely concerned about sound stewardship of public money. It would change the non-functioning status quo. If in the preceding quarter a given cab fails to appear at and participate in one or more commission meetings, their county treasurer should not be reimbursed for non-existent expenses billed after the fact, regardless of what the budget allows. No need for a new regulation. Don't hand out public money for non-existent expenses. Thank you.
All right, seeing no additional public comment, I'll bring it back to the commission for any further discussion, questions, motion, all the above. All right. Yes, Commissioner Walther.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would make a motion to approve the recommended $34,361 for fiscal year 2026 county advisory boards to manage wildlife.
All right, perfect. So we have a motion from Commissioner Walther, a second from Commissioner Booth. All those in favor with aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. Goodness. All right, moving on to agenda item 23. This is duck stamp request, Wildlife Staff Specialist Matt Glenn for possible action. The commission will review and may take action to approve up to $98,000 for projects submitted for fiscal year 2026 funding from the duck stamp account. The specific duck stamp projects that may be approved are listed below. And there's 5 different projects there listed. So good morning.
Good morning, Matt Glenn, Habitat Staff Specialist for the record. Thank you, Chair Rogers, members of the commission. This year, the department has completed its annual project application period for duck stamp and presents applications provided in the support material for possible approval by the commission. This year, we received 5 project proposals for a total of $98,000.
Thanks, Matt. Your time's
My time over. Thank you very much. They told me to keep it brief. I didn't know that meant that brief. Just as a budget note, there is approximately, if the commission were to approve all 5 projects for a total of $98,000, that would leave us with a balance of approximately $401,000 in the account. And with that, I will take any questions if the commission has them for any of the individual projects.
All right, thank you for that. Any questions, comments, anything from the commission on those various projects? Yes, Commissioner McNinch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Not so much a question, but the work that's being done out at Carson Lake, this is exciting. That property was in limbo for so long. I mean, for careers, I think, wasn't it? I mean, there were people that started here and left after long careers, and that issue had never been resolved. So now it's resolved, and I'm excited about these projects out there. I think it's worth every second. There's a ton of use out there, hunting and non-hunting alike. Lots of, I mean, from a birder's perspective, it's one of the best places in northern Nevada, period, to go look at birds, and the importance for shorebirds is unheard of. And I think this is Mr. Ward is the young man that I met out there one time chasing. I'm going to share the story because it was memorable to me. And I'm wandering around out there chasing a very rare bird, and he comes up on one of the dikes, and he pulls up behind me and he says, "What are you looking for?" And and I showed it to him. And so we sat there and nerded out for about a half hour, 45 minutes. Well, he was just trying to understand, and he was totally interested. That's what we need, is that kind of enthusiasm. And I appreciated he was taking ownership of his management area. And I had a really nice visit with him, and very engaging. So a lot of good things going on out there.
I'll pass that on.
Good. Thank you for that. Yeah, I had a chance to review all of these projects, and some really good projects that the department has going on right now. So I appreciate all that work. Anything else from the commission at this time before we send it out for any public comment? All right, seeing none, let's go ahead and send this out for any public comment here in Elko. So any public comment here in Elko on agenda item 23? All right, seeing none, how about any public comment via Zoom for agenda item 23? All right, seeing none, I'll bring it back to the commission for any further discussion, questions, motion. Seeing none, I'll go ahead and make a motion for approval of the duck stamp request as presented. All right, so we have a motion from the chair. We have a second from Commissioner Walther. All those in favor with aye? Aye. Any opposed? All right. All right, we will move on to agenda item 24. This is Upland Game Bird Stamp Request for possible action. Wildlife Specialist Matt Glenn. The commission will review and may take action to approve up to $332,855 for projects submitted for fiscal year 2026 funding from the Upland Game Bird Stamp account. The specific Upland Game Bird Stamp projects that may be approved are listed below.
Good morning, Habitat Staff Specialist for the record. Again, I'll try to get this all out before Linda's timer goes off. The department has completed its annual project application period for Upland Game Bird Stamp, and those proposals are provided in the support material for possible approval by the commission. This year, we received 9 proposals for a total of $332,855. As a budget note, if the commission were to approve all of these projects, that would leave us with a balance of $264,552.24 in the account. And with that, we'll take any questions.
All right, perfect. Thank you for that. Any questions, comments? Director Janae?
Just caught one type error there on the 4th item up from the bottom. It says FY25 by state sage grouse monitoring. I believe that will be FY26 by state sage grouse monitoring. So just wanted to correct that on the record.
All right, thank you for that. Anything else from the commission? Again, a number of, again, my perception, personal thought, I had a chance to review those, and again, some very good projects that are going on right now, and with that as well. So if there isn't any further discussion from the commission at this time, I'll go ahead and send it out for any public comment. Any public comment here in Elko with regards to agenda item 24? All right, seeing none, how about any public comment via Zoom? All right, seeing none, I'll bring it back to the commission for any further discussion, questions, motion. Yes, Commissioner McNinch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll make a motion to approve fiscal year 2026 Upland Game Bird Stamp funding request as presented with the notation for project 1057 that is for fiscal year 26, not fiscal year 25.
All right, perfect. All right, so we have a motion from Commissioner McNinch. We have a second from Commissioner Walther. All those in favor with aye? Aye. Any opposed? All right, that carries. Moving on now to agenda item 25. This is biennial small game release plan for fiscal year 2026 and 2027 for possible action. Upland Game Staff Specialist Justin Small. The commission will review and may take action to approve the 2026 and 2027 biennial small game release plan. So good morning, Mr. Small.
Well, this mic's a little short, so I'll speak up. Sorry for the 38-page thesis length annual small game release, but I wanted you guys to have everything consolidated in there from FY24 and 25, see the accomplishments, and then what we're proposed to do in FY26 and 27. So good morning, commissioners and Chairman Rogers. I believe Sean told me I had about 30 minutes to go over this. No, I'm just kidding. I will try to be succinct. First, I just want to go over the summary of accomplishments from FY24 and 25. We have some standout accomplishments to show where this funding was actually allocated to the ground. I'm going to start out with California quail. So between FY24 and 25, we moved 2,355 California valley quail across the state. I have more of a comprehensive breakdown on page 15. If you want to look at that, I piecemeal that out to local geographical regions within the county. But just for time's sake, Elko County, we moved 950 birds. Churchill County, 350. Lander County, 361. Nye County, 113. And Pershing County, 581, for a total of 2,355. You look at these numbers and you realize, yeah, that's a lot, but that's also a lot of commitment from our staff on the ground. These guys are, Alan Offley says, we do a lot with less in Endow, and that's not cliche. It's true. These guys punch above their weight. I try to feed them the funds out of the translocation upland game monitoring money that Matt just talked about. That's that upland game stamp approval funding. And that's where this goes to fund these projects. And basically, these guys are just cut loose to be professionals, and they operate that way. A lot of the quail come from urban centers, and I call it, it's not just habitat fragmentation at this point, it's habitat compression, that urban interface around, especially Reno, is being eliminated. So Clint Garrett, regional biologist, has really targeted those areas to remove those quail populations. It's going to blank out in a year or two. A large majority of the Reno birds come from specific sites like that. So it's good to pull those birds from the areas that they're going to be eliminated. Galliflora species have high site fidelity, and unfortunately, they're compressed in areas where there's really nowhere else to go at this point. So it's nice to be able to move those birds to other areas where there's habitat that they could possibly survive in and perpetuate and build habitat resilience and resistance over time. Columbia sharp-tailed grouse, I'll switch to them. In 2024, we augmented 20 to the Bull Run Basin. Unfortunately, this year we was proposed to move 35. Idaho offered to give us 15 males additional to the 25 females. We initially had that conversation. They wanted to see how the translocation was going to go at first. It's been good. The elect numbers have been coming up, so the augmentations within the bull run has been successful. Unfortunately, for 2025, our first 9 birds we sent into a Utah lab for a PCR test, come back. We end up having a false positive. Of course, we thought it was a true positive. It was a PCR test based off of a statistical program that spits out a number, and I forget if it was high or low, but I think it was a low number showing that it was positive. And we contacted Idaho Fish and Game. Those were 9 birds that we was going to move. We had 7 trapping sites set up, and it was, you never know, but it was on schedule to be a lot productive than it was last year. But we do not want to move any disease into a population of the bull run that there's been a lot of funding and physical work to get that population established since 2013, when that first graduate project happened from 13 to 2017. And so we pulled the plug on it. Unfortunately, I just crossed the Utah border, and Nate called me and said the lab called and said, I think we've got a false positive, unfortunately. So that was a multi-$1,000 mistake at that point, and we couldn't go back. Fortunately, Idaho Fish and Game has been a great partner to work with, and they're going to recombinate it and give us an extra year on top of this last year. So we're going to go through hopefully FY27. So we're going to go back to the same spot next year and do the same thing we did this year. So hopefully everything will go off without a hitch. For Hungarian partridge, we're wanting to move some Hungarian partridge. We trapped 27 this year and want to translocate them into habitat in the west that's being more accommodating, especially with the fire cycle change and the conversion to more of a cheatgrass dominated landscape and a lot of less shrub cover. So we moved 27 into the Desolatoy Mountains, and we're planning on doing that again this year. Hopefully we can get a few more. They're definitely tricky to trap, not as easy as California quail, so we're trying to figure out the metrics on that a little better. Merriam's turkey, This year, the game division, Sean and I put together a draft to the director, Justin Shirley, at the Utah Division of Department of Wildlife, and mainly through my counterpart there in the upland game program, Heather Talley. Utah continues to be a very well just collaborative partner. They immediately responded and said, we can give you up to 150 turkeys this year and give you what you need in the subsequent years. We actually got 149. So we sent them in the eastern region first to kind of infuse those populations, translocate, potentially build new populations, and then reoccupant populations. Has been somewhat, population performance has been going down over the last couple of years. And they are going to continue to send us birds this year, and we're going to focus on the western side of the state. And I have Merriam in there. Those birds are hybrid birds, but I'd say a large majority of the genetics are more Merriam. And then Rio Grande, most of those birds has come, or all of those birds come from Paradise Valley over the last couple of years. Some went to Elko County, Humboldt County, and they mainly come out of Paradise Valley. But some of them went to the Golanda area, and then a large lion's share of them went to Walker State Ranch or Park this year. As far as proposed, I think it's on page 5. The summary for proposed projects for FY26 and 27. We're going to continue our California statewide translocation and augmentation population objectives. I just have one in there that's a placeholder within the biennial or within the release plans down below that starts on page 17. You'll see it'll just say statewide in the release summary, just where it's all consolidated. That way I didn't have to piecemeal it out in every area, because some of those areas we're identifying as we go. Chukar is to be announced. I don't think we're going to do much with Chukar in this next 2 years, but I wanted to just kind of have that in there as a placeholder. Mount Quill, we're also trapping Mount Quill. That's another one we're trying to figure out. They're tough. They're not consolidated in large population groups like Valley Quail, but we'd like to move them into a few other ranges in western Nevada as well. Plant Alpines and possibly Lincoln County. The name of the mountain range is not, it's in here. I think it's in the table of contents, but I'm not requiring it directly. Going to continue moving Rio Grande for introductions and augmentations, along with Merriam turkeys, gray partridge, rough grouse, sharp-tailed grouse. The rough grouse, we have an open invitation to come to Utah, in northern Utah, in the Logan area of Logan Canyon, working with a professor at a Utah State, Dave Dogren, and he's got multiple graduate programs up there. I know Dave personally. He was on my committee during my dissertation. It's just when we get the bandwidth and the fiscal bandwidth to do that, we always have a lot of irons in the fire around that time of year. So if we can squeeze in a window to go and trap some rough grouse and bring them back to the locations listed, you'll see in the table of contents, I break them down to where we want to put them, and it's notified in the release plan as well. Ringneck pheasants. The director's office and I has talked. I think we're excited about this with the trajectory of the WMAs going right now. Some of the more recent acquired properties, I think we have the potential to have a fairly robust, not across the state, but within different areas of the WMAs and potential some private properties to establish a wild population of pheasants again, at least a huntable population. The directors, the leadership, the director's office, Deputy McAdoo and myself, we've been working with different partners within the same agency, largely Pheasants Forever. Al Eden, which is the Western director. Caleb talked to a few folks at the, him and Jeremy Lutz and Maddie went to the Pheasants Forever conference this year. It seems like we got an open door if we from North Dakota or South Dakota. So we're excited about this. We think this could provide a lot of opportunity for young hunters, in addition to some of our put and take pheasants, in the future. Con Ed's also working on that. I think it's a great opportunity to get kids in the field and for them to be successful, and get that younger generation initiated into hunting and start building their hunting legacy. American beaver, I'm going to leave that up to Russell. That's to be announced. There's a lot of dialogue in the summary of accomplishments. Obviously, I break it out between Eastern region, Western region, and what we've done. But that's pretty much it as far as kind of summarizing what we've done in 24, 25 and where we're going in 2020, 26, 27. So I will stand for any questions.
All right, great. Thank you for that. Any question? Yes, Commissioner Bourne.
Comment. So this year we were fortunate enough to get some California quail in White River Valley. And funny thing is, so much of our time we talk about hunting and fishing. And I had 3 different ladies from an age range of 84 to 92 years old stop me in the street in Preston, Nevada and say, it sure is neat to see quail in Preston again.
Yeah.
So just wanted to share that. We'll take all the quail you can give us.
Yeah. I don't know what it is about quail. I mean, they're one of my favorite birds, possibly my favorite bird, but in Hunter Burkett's area down in the Peavine Canyon. And he had a chance, I forget the folks' name there in Peavine, to release them on private property there to get them started and build a little bit of refugia from mortality from predators. And they just had really good habitat there. And we had the lady, the ranch owner's wife, walk out and actually release the pens. And as soon as she opened the gate, they become her quail.
Mm-hmm.
She just loves them. And we've got reports around the ranch house. You know, there's plenty of feed from them. They just love to see them. So people tend to really get involved in that. And quail tend to do really well when you put them into areas that they got immediate habitat, substrate, refugia, and then birds are already producing. Second generation's already on the ground. They tend to be doing good. So this is going to provide additional opportunities in these areas for hunting, but also for wildlife viewing. So.
Yeah. Good. Yes, Commissioner McNinch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wasn't really going to say anything, but since Commissioner Bourne kind of brought it up and Justin, as bird watchers, we have our idiosyncrasies when it comes to keeping track of things and reporting them and stuff like that. Well, a couple of weeks ago, kind of the big news on one of the sites where you list all your sightings, eBird, was the sighting of quail in Peavine Canyon. There were folks that are birding that asked permission to go on that property, and they build those relationships. And one of the species that popped up as rare or unusual for that area was California quail. And so they're kind of questioning, what the heck's happening? How'd they get here? That kind of stuff. And now it kind of explains it. So obviously, yeah, I don't think it's just kind of full circle. It is. People do enjoy wildlife observation too. So yeah, it was notable to people.
Appreciate that.
All right, cool. Anything else from the commission at this time? All right, seeing none, this is an action item, so let's go ahead and send it out for any public comment here in Elko. Any public comment here in Elko on agenda item 25?
Steve Marcus, White Pine County. We as a board are in support of agenda item 25, biennial small game release plan. And we would like to make a request for possible consideration for some turkeys released in certain areas of White Pine County at the department's discretion. And we have a couple areas that we thought could hold some turkeys, White River, up in the long stretch of cottonwoods and along that creek. And the predator problem's been handled really well up there. It's one of the most trapped areas in the county. That's one of them we thought of, which could possibly go over into the current side. And any consideration would be very much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment here yeah, please. And if you would, just state your name for the record.
My name is Bob Colon. I'm a resident of Elko. I just have a question for you. What is the status of the mountain quail? I got in here late. And did you
What's the
discuss that?
status of them?
Yeah, how are they doing in this area and elsewhere?
How are you doing the
Are,
surveys?
yeah, as far as, are you surveying the mountain quail and what is your population status? And just a question for the.
Yeah. Thank you. Wildlife staff, Justin Small for the record again. We don't have a really
Say,
good.
Justin, I apologize. Just for the record, what was the question? I didn't. The gentleman, were you answering the gentleman's question?
What's the status of mountain quail?
Status of mountain quail?
What's that?
I was trying to determine, the gentleman had a question that you were answering,
Yes.
and I was just trying to determine what his question was. He was turned away from the mic and I couldn't hear it. So
Yes, I think he wanted to know the status of mountain quail and potentially how we're monitoring.
Oh, perfect.
We are trying to develop a more comprehensive index on monitoring mountain quail. Mountain quail are highly scattered across the range in western Nevada, mainly consolidated to the western edge of Nevada, the Buffalo Hills, the Pine Nuts. There's a lot we don't know. And Clint Garrett, Jason Salisbury, our regional biologists, we are trying to come up with a better method. And we're actually trying to mark some of those birds because they're coming up in areas that we have not anticipate. It doesn't look like typical mountain quail habitat. When it comes to subspecies, I'm not a lumper and a splitter or so much of a splitter, but I think our quail are uniquely adapted to Western region, more drier xeric climates. I'm very well of mountain quail population as ecology and behavior in the Western and Eastern Sierra Nevadas. But they're so limited, I wouldn't say limited range, but our limited ability to find them. And so I would really like to get some transmitters on them, especially GPS. You're working with USGS and Stephen Matthews and Pete Coates Lab. There is some GPS technology right now. We're getting down 1% to 2% of the body weight of birds, and I think they can carry them like normal VHF backpacks. Or backtrack transmitters that almost have no effect. And I would like to actually get a little better understanding on how the birds are moving and what kind of habitat they're using within the landscape to actually identify some areas where we might actually be able to potentially find a lot more mountain quail populations. Last week, Clint Garrett and I went up and spent a day in the Buffalo Hills where I had a hunter call in multiple times and really appreciated him calling in and let me know he's a serious chucker hunter and said, hey, I'd like you to know where I've been seeing multiple coveys of mountain quail. It's not just random. There's actually mountain quail in this area. So we went out and checked and I could see what he was talking about. There's definitely mountain quail in the area. So to his question, great question. We're trying to really kind of to level up on that because I think we could have more than what we realize, but we need to figure it out. So we're putting some effort towards it. Yeah.
Perfect. And as long as you're at the mic there, and I know we'll get to some public comment on Zoom there, but to the gentleman, Mr. Marks in the back, a question on White Pine County. Any feasibility there? I mean, is that something that could be considered or?
It is. I think that might have been on the biennial release plan years ago. Let me pull up to the table of contents. You mean in context of mountain quail in White Pine County?
No, turkey. I think is what the gentleman had mentioned. The first gentleman that spoke, Mr. Marks.
Yeah.
Turkeys in White Pine County.
Yeah, and that's something we could. It has been on the release plan in the past. Let's see. White Pine. I don't think it's this one. For Merriam's turkey, we have Pine Nut Range, Ruby Mountains, South Ruby Mountains, Mason Valley, and Walker River. But that's something that we could definitely include on the list.
Okay.
If we need to do that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm all for that. Yeah, we're just trying to hit the areas that we have proposed and make sure we hit that. But as far as adding other areas to it, we are not opposed to that at all. Okay. If the habitat looks right, the conditions look right, we'll send the area biologists out there and potentially myself go out there and make sure the components as far as residents and if it's a good population, if it's too urban or too much farm and, if it could be a huntable population.
Yeah, perfect.
I don't want to create a problem with local landowners and residents in town. So, yeah.
All right, perfect.
Check
Good,
that.
good. With that, excuse me, we will move over to any public comment via Zoom. So any public comment via Zoom regarding agenda item 25. All right, seeing none, I'll bring it back to the commission for any further discussion, motion. I'll entertain all the above. Yes, Commissioner Barnes.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the biannual small game release plan for fiscal years 2026, 2027 as presented.
Perfect. So we have a motion from Commissioner Barnes. We have a second from Commissioner Bourne. All those in favor with aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. All right, moving on to now agenda item number 26. This is Commission General Regulation Workshop, public comment period allowed. This is for possible action. 26A, Commission General Regulation 525, coyote hunting contest regulation. Chief Game Warden Christy Knight. The commission will hold a workshop to consider amending Nevada Administrative Code, or NAC 503, to provide for season and licensing requirements for participants of coyote hunting contests. Good morning, Chief Knight.
Good morning, Chief Game Warden Christy Knight for the record. So this morning, you should have gotten the support material on the actual language, so I'll just give a brief overview on it. So Commission General Regulation 525 puts forth regulation defines that what a coyote hunting contest is. It requires a Nevada hunting or a Nevada trapping license to participate and establishes a season for the contest to be September 1st through March 31st. With that, I'll stand for any questions.
Right, thank you for that. Any questions, comments from the commission at this time? One question that I had, Chief Knight, and that is on, let's see, where was my notes here? Oh, under section 3 of NAC 503.090, where it says, is hereby amended to read as follows. Number 1, there is no open season on those species of wild mammals, wild birds, fish, reptiles, or amphibians classified as protected. And then number 2, it says there is no closed season on those species of wild mammals or wild birds classified as unprotected. Does that, and maybe that's not a valid question, but does that need to read the same as number 1? Or is it okay standing on its own?
Christy Knight for the record. So with the exception, that brings it back that for the contest committee itself, there is a closure that they can't hold the contest committee itself. It doesn't need to be written as the first one because there are open season, well, that's how it has been written, but it's continued. It's open season technically all the time for unprotected species.
Gotcha. Okay.
So there is no closed season except for the contest.
Okay. Perfect. Anything from the commission at this time regarding that language? All right. And no questions for Chief Knight at this time. So with that, I will send this out for any possible public comment here in Elko. Any public comment here in Elko regarding 26A?
Good morning, George Forbush for the NPHA. I don't know what I can say that I haven't already said over the last few months or so. I will say this, that, when this process all started, I think a lot of predator hunters were under the theory that they had to fly under the radar to, they weren't doing anything wrong, but they wanted to fly under the radar, not get any attention to themselves. And I was always under the impression that we should come forward and say, hey, this is what we're doing, which is what I did, coming forward in that first subcommittee meeting, saying this is how we operate. This is how the contests are run. We have rules that go above and beyond any regulation that actually exists in NAC that we go by. And that we also follow the current laws and regulations, so on and so forth. I know up on the screen, I see some activists that are going to come on after I get done speaking here, and I have an idea what they may say. And, I'll just say I agree to disagree with some of their points. But you saw yesterday, you had a group of predator hunters in here yesterday that said we support law enforcement. We have positive contact with law enforcement. We want no one said yesterday they support any unethical behavior involving thermal. I think they've represented themselves very, very well. And the reason I ask you to remember that is because I think if the comments are going to go how I think they're going to go after I step down, activists are going to say how bad we are, that we do a lot of unethical things. And I don't think what you saw yesterday represents what they're going to say after I step off this podium. So I ask you guys to remember that. And I just want you guys to know that we have come a long way. I've been actually able to build rapport with media relations, from the news. And they are now putting us in a positive light because of the work that we have done. So I think this is a good thing. It shows that we want to follow laws. We want to do this activity. And we just want to be recognized as this being a legitimate sport for us, if you want to call it sport or activity. All right. I thank you for all your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment here in Elko? All right. We do have one more.
Steve Marcus, White Pine. The White Pine County Advisory Board is still in opposition to Commission General Regulation 525 coyote hunting contest regulation, as the board feels the regulations are obsolete and outside of the contest. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment here in Elko? Right, seeing none, how about any public comment via Zoom? And again, for those participating via Zoom, if you do have comment, if you'd please hover over the heart, which will allow you to raise your hand. And then if you would please state your name for the record.
Pardon me, Mr. Chair and Commissioners, Jana Wright speaking in opposition to this proposed regulation. Nevadans do not want wildlife killing contests, as indicated by the poll shared by then HSUS in 2024. Sportsmen themselves cannot agree on this topic, and the only thing they could agree upon was requiring a hunting or trapping license and setting a season. The contest committee walked lockstep with these suggestions, ignoring any attempt to talk about other criteria for a regulation. This was confirmed at the commission meeting when Chief Nice presented another concept, which, keep it simple, was the mantra being pushed. I question the trapping license option in this regulation, as the wildlife are being hunted and killed, not trapped. You as a commission, and certainly not all of you, are saying we condone the frivolous killing of our wildlife. The fact that there is zero science involved and these killing contests are not a management tool. We will regulate a non-protective species, and game animals have more value than other species. This is an effort to make a deplorable practice, wildlife killing contests, look acceptable. Don't move this regulation forward. Please stop it now. Thank you.
For the verbatim record, Fred Volz, this proposed regulation does nothing to address the absent biological justification for mass killing of any wildlife species. Collecting a relative few dollars of license fees while clear-cutting a given area of any species and imperiling public safety does nothing to help habitat or drought and makes it more difficult for the remaining species to survive. It also doesn't assure preservation of the ungulates your licensees choose to arbitrarily and gratuitously kill for sport, not genuine conservation. As biology and history clearly demonstrate, humans trying to exterminate coyotes have repeatedly failed for hundreds of years. On the contrary, these mass kills exacerbate populations by creating an instinctive survival response where more unsocialized pups are born, pups who cause more damage than ones raised in a stable family structure. Despite the serial demonization and contract killing of all predators by hunters, ranchers, farmers, this commission, hunter staff members of the department, and outside entities, predators play an important role in the hierarchical food chain that allows other wildlife to exist, despite constant human meddling that harms, not helps wildlife survive. No one has brought up the irony of this and other new proposed regulations. You will remember your patron, the current governor, tasked the commission with streamlining regulation by eliminating 10 regulations of your choosing. Now you are seeking to add new regulations that contradict your boss's edict. Is this the height of foolishness and dysfunctional government that so many in the public inherently distrust? Thank you.
Good morning, Chair Rogers and members of the board. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this morning. My name is Rebecca Goff, and I'm the Nevada State Director for Humane World for Animals. First, I want to commend Commissioner McNinch for his unwavering commitment to science and ethics, his service on this board, and his service to the state. His leadership has been a bright spot. Second, I urge the board to ban wildlife killing contests outright. Public opposition is overwhelming, scientific evidence is clear, and hunters and wildlife professionals increasingly reject wildlife killing contests. 6 of our western neighbors have abolished them. I'm ashamed that our board's circus of half measures, creating a contest season and requiring a hunting license, will simply rubber stamp the board's approval of these senseless competitions. Trying to sell these weak regulations as compromises is a charade that undermines the public trust, isolates Nevada, and embarrasses us on the national stage. Consider the voices of fellow wildlife leaders. Robert Brown, a Boone and Crockett Club Ethics Committee member, recently told the National Geographic that this isn't hunting, it's just shooting. He condemned the contest techniques as unethical and unfair to the animal. Jim Zeiler, hunter and former chair of the Arizona Game and Fish Commission, said there has been a lot of societal outcry against this, and you can kind of understand why. It's difficult to stand up and defend a practice like this. Mike Finley, former chair of the Oregon Fish and Wildlife Commission, called these slaughter fests and stomach-turning examples of wanton waste. True wildlife management relies on evidence, not threats or theatrics. With this decision, you've caved to an obscure anti-ethics, anti-science minority that enjoys slaughtering our wildlife for cash and trophies, and have displayed an alarming disregard for the values you have sworn to uphold. If you want to remain relevant, please stop pandering to the hysterics of a few contest participants and organizers. Our state deserves better from its board. You have the power to lead. Ban wildlife killing contests, reaffirm Nevada's commitment to science, ethics, and public will, and restore the integrity of wildlife management. We're not going away, and we will not relent until Nevada's wildlife is spared from this pointless blood sport. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Christy Stevens. I'm a 50-year resident of this state, and I have the honor of leading animal welfare efforts here in Southern Nevada for over a decade, currently serving as the executive director of Hearts Alive Village. Our mission has always been to advocate for those who cannot speak for themselves. As an animal welfare leader, I have seen firsthand how deeply people care about our wildlife and the humane treatment of all living creatures. Our communities are more aware now than ever of the need to live in harmony with the natural world, to be stewards rather than destroyers. Wildlife killing contests are at odds with these values. They do not reflect who we are, who we aspire to be as a compassionate and humane state. And as a mother who raised her 4 children here, we must also recognize the long-term impact on our youth. What are we teaching the next generation when we reward the slaughter of animals for sport? Compassion, empathy, and respect for all living creatures should be the values we instill, not the normalization of cruelty. We are better than this. Thank you.
Yes, hi, this is Lou Benetti with the member of the Nevada Predator Hunting Association. Sorry, it's so loud. I got to make this very quick. I'm standing in TSA line back to Nevada. Please approve this, commissioners. We've worked hard and talked about this for several months. Again, thank you, and please approve it. All right, yep.
Greetings, commissioners and Chairman Rogers. It's Bryce Screen for the record. I just wanted to quickly second everything that George said. And I want to thank you for hearing us throughout these past few months. Our anti-hunting counterparts love to say that these competitions are anti-science, but the facts in terms of how these competitions benefit big game and other species have been presented multiple times in the past meetings. I'll just make it short. I mean, I think the greatest argument in our own favor is noticing the hundreds of thousands of dollars that have been spent by NDOW over the last few years on predator removal efforts. And if it didn't work, you guys wouldn't do it, but we're providing that service for free. So as George and I have said before, we know we're doing a good thing, making a net positive and reducing coyote populations to benefit our big game and many other species. So I hope we stick with the decisions made the multiple times we voted in the past, and that's all for me. Thank you, commissioners.
Good morning, commissioners. This is Stephanie Myers from Las Vegas. Don't pass these meaningless regulations. Seasons, licenses won't change anything at all. It's all a charade, a show to persuade the governor and the legislature that you are actually doing something for a problem that they just wish would go away. Look, see what we're doing. We're in charge of this. When it's all smoke and mirrors, it's nothing. Wildlife killing contests must be banned, as Nevada residents desire, not regulated. And how can you pretend to call them calling contests? Come on, be real. You may call them out of hiding by deception, but the end objective is not to call, but to kill. Call them what they really are. But if you must make regulations, here's a good one. How about a regulation that takes away the prizes from these bloody competitions? No prize guns, money, awards, or belt buckles. Just a group of men who go out to kill a dumpster full of dead coyotes, carcasses, and have a jolly weekend. Thank you.
Commissioners, Don Molderino, a couple of things. I support a ban. I support HWA's position on this issue. To me, the worst part of these killing contests, and one that's not spoken about much except by me, is that these contests are nothing more, in my opinion, than unwarranted destruction of public property. I don't see why this issue is not discussed by you. These animals belong to the public, not to you, not to predator hunters. There's no reason for killing these animals in this manner. Killing predators does not increase ungulate populations. You know that as well as I do. Looking at the data for the last 25 years, nothing of that sort has occurred. Deer numbers have plummeted and predator numbers have continued to go up as you've killed them. So I think if you pass this regulation, this is not the end of things. This is just a new beginning. This matter is not going to go away. And I don't think the legislature really likes it when you don't do your job. That's not their job to make wildlife decisions. It's yours. But if we're back again, I'm sure that the question remains, you know, why do they have to get involved in this when this matter should be handled better by you? Thank you.
All right. See no additional public comment. Bring it back to the commission for any additional discussion, questions, whatever the flavor of the commission is today. Yes, Commissioner McNinch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll just get it out of the way real quick. You know, my comments aren't intended to reflect poorly on folks that want to hunt predators and predator hunting. But I do believe that that legitimizing contests pushes beyond what was intended with the, you know, development of the North American model for wildlife conservation, which was largely put together by sportsmen to frame their own behaviors and establish boundaries to maintain their relevancy into the past. That was decades ago. And so I do believe that it pushes beyond that in several ways. I've made my comment over the years on why, and I just feel that it's bad policy and damages, erodes public support for the agency and for conservation of wildlife. It's just where I stand, and it hasn't changed. So thank you.
All right. Thank you for that, Commissioner McNinch. Anything else from the other commissioners' comments? Everybody, I know we've had a lot of discussion around this, and anyway, Commissioner Walther.
Just procedurally, and being in a workshop would be to move to a first reading.
Thank you. So when you look here today, this was the workshop. So the next hearing, the next meeting would be adoption.
Okay.
With that, I would make a motion to move Commission General Regulation 525 Coyote Hunting Contest Regulations forward to adoption.
All right. So we have a motion from Commissioner Walther. We have a second from Commissioner Booth. All those in favor with aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. And one opposed. That motion passes. 5-1. All right. Moving on to now agenda item 27. This is Commission Regulations, Public Comment Allowed, Possible Action. 27A, Commission Regulation 24-13, Amendment Number 1, 2025-2026 Upland Game and Fur Bearer Seasons and Bag Limits. Wildlife Staff Specialist Justin Small and Russell Wolstenholme. The Commission may vote to amend regulations for upland game birds and mammals, as well as fur bearers for the 2025 and 2026 season.
Wildlife Staff Specialist Justin Small for the record again. Should be pretty straightforward. We want to make a few amendments to the sage grouse seasons based off the population increase that Sean talked about in reference last year. Just to give a little justification, sage grouse population increases have been on has been on the increase overall population numbers for the last 3 years, and peak male counts in 2023 of the leks that we did count, I think it was 800, a little over 800, it might have been 890 leks that year. We have 2,360 known leks. We try to do a cross index of close to half, but most of the time we don't get there based off of staff bandwidth and volunteers. Everybody's kind of full hands on deck. But in 2023, we had a peak male count of 5,723 males. Last year, we seen that increase go from that number up to 9,021. And this year, we're probably, from what the preliminary data is showing, potentially up to 11,500, 1,200, could even possibly be beyond that. We throw a lot of numbers out as population biologists in the game division with recruitment, finite rate of change, meaning lambda, and but a lot of things you don't hear about is intrinsic growth rate. That's more kind of in a lot of your more quantitative literature and things. But what, simply put, an intrinsic growth rate stands for the maximum growth potential given an individual species interaction with ideal landscape conditions. And I think what we're seeing right now in the Great Basin and across the state of Nevada, especially when you pair population oscillation cycles that were already starting to trend up, we were coming out of that trough, but you pair that back to back with 22, 23, 24, 25 winters, 3 good winters in a row, it really seemed to incentivize that population uplift. So I think we have the more than justification to increase sage grouse harvest. It's not by much. I do want to state, after looking at our longitudinal data set and doing some population calculations off recommendations in the past, and from some of my population ecology background, the population or the sage grouse hen in Nevada has always been highly conservative, to the point where I consider it, from my background, almost a legacy traditional hunt or a carryover historic hunt. We're always staying down below that 5% harvest rate. We know with sage grouse literature and galliform literature in general, when you're talking about case-selected galliforms, longer-lived galliforms like sage grouse, sharp-tailed grouse, not your R-selected species like quail, chukar, high turnover rates, which are all doing well right now as well. But we know that you really need to be careful that you don't have an additive effect, and you want to make harvests completely compensatory. But there's been some recent literature to establish kind of a longitudinal literature data set. This goes back to some of Patterson's work in 1952 all the way till now, but with some modern analytic analysis coming out of the University of Wyoming by a PhD student out of Jeff Beck's lab called Jonathan Lockenball, which is now he's graduated, Dr. Lockenball. This showed, looking at a meta-analysis of sharp-tail and sage grouse, would mainly focus at sharp-tail harvest rates, but it transfers directly to sage grouse. That if your harvest approximates 5% or less, basically it's like no harvest. And we can see that with Washington's population. They thought as their population was trending down, they would eliminate their hunt in Washington State in 1988. And we've seen no uptick in population growth. So in wildlife ecology, we see that in upland game bird management is we want to stay within that doom surplus. In other words, the birds that would be taken out of that population anyways, that way additional harvest doesn't cause an unstabilizing force to that population resistance and resiliency to change. Actually, most of our harvest is down to the 2 to 1%, and based off of luck numbers in the past. And the ratios, when I look at no matter what year we was in, when I calculate the number of females, which is usually 2.5 to 1 males up to 3 males, and you divide that by the population, then a lot of times we're down to less than 1%. So we're confident on that. To get into our amendments, I just kind of want to give that some of our justification, but to actually get into what we're changing, it's not a ton. For the 9-day season, we want to include new units. So everything new is in blue, as you guys know from the past. Just want to state that omitted is in red, and that's usually what our recommendations is a change. We want to include in the 9-day season, unit 061 is a new unit. And then hunt unit 051 from Humboldt County will move from a 2-day season into the 9-day season. The population and what the lick counts are shows that no problem to justify that. Hunt units 154, 155 will be new. We want to add that into the 9-day season, and then change the bag limit, the possession bag limit from 2 to 4. And that's across the board, even for the 2-day seasons when we get into that. So switching to the 2-day seasons, we want to include Hunt Unit 011 in Washoe County. And like I said before, we're going to omit 051 from that 9-day season or 2-day season and move it into the 9-day season. And then new Hunt Unit 184 in Churchill and Lander counties, Hunt Unit 121 in Elko and White Pine counties, and Hunt Unit 131 in White Pine, Eureka, and Nye counties. And also change the possession limit from 2 to 4. New for this year, or I should say to reactivate the Sheldon hunt based off of preliminary lek data. I haven't had all the lek data come in. June 15th when I set the deadline for coming in. But based off of what John Yvonick, our Western Region biologist in that area, the lek members definitely justified reopening that hunt in the Sheldon. It's going to be a 2-day season limited to 40 reservations awarded through a random draw. I would like to have your focus move to the bottom of the page in blue, that last paragraph where Sheldon special sage grouse hunt applications must be submitted online through Endow's licensing online program. Paper applications will not be accepted, but in parentheses, I put applications will not be accepted until 11 p.m. in the first Friday in August. This has already been addressed. Matt Maples is going to talk about that when he gets up as a deadline in another CR. So this is redundant and this isn't the place for that. So if you guys move to approve that, I would like to say accept this part of that paragraph because that's just going to be removed. It's going to be in red. It'll be omitted. That is it for sage grouse. If you guys want me to go into turkeys or do you want me to stop and you guys want to take an action on sage grouse? If not, I can go through turkeys too. It's not a lot, but I'll leave that up to you.
Yeah, let's, I'm comfortable with moving through turkeys as well, as long as the commission.
Okay.
Yep,
Didn't
let's
take
do
5
that.
minutes. So for junior turkeys, we're wanting to omit just Mason Valley Wildlife Management Area and open it up to Hunt Unit 203 wide of Lyon County. We feel like the population objectives meet that now. No change in tag quota there. In Unit 151 and 152 of Lander County, we'd like to go to 1 to 2, the tag quota. And then Unit 101, we'd like to reopen it in Elko County. We feel like we've buffered that population enough to move that into an open hunt and have a quota for 2 for residents. Moving down to units 151 and 152 in Lander County, we'd like to go from 3 to 4 for residents. Nothing's going to change for non-residents there. And then on the next table, that portion of Hunt Unit 202 in Lyon County, we want to open that up to Hunt Unit 204 as well. We feel like population objectives is established that we can have that hunt unit open as well and move from 2 is the tag quota to 4. And then lastly, same as the junior hunts, like I said, Mason Valley is going to be omitted into, and we wanted to open it up to the whole hunt unit of 203 in Lyon County. And that would be it. There is some small changes in the bobcat pelt silly dates. We could wait on that, but it's almost nothing. You guys want me to speak to that for Russell as well too?
All right. I'm sorry, what was that last? I was still reading my.
Yeah, so the bobcat selling dates, not much has changed there. It's just from in Elko County, January 6th, instead of January 6th going to January 13th. And then in Ely, having a sealing date from January 7th to the 14th. And then in Panaca, we're going to change the meeting to Pinoche, with the now office in Pinoche. Sealing date's the same there.
Right.
Commissioner Rogers, I have a question.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Booth.
Yes, thank you for your information. Back on the Sheldon sage hen hunt that is limited to 40 reservations, correct? And you have it a 2-day hunt.
We do.
That's the same time we have a commission meeting. My question is, you have other hunts that are from September 20th through the 28th. If you spread that over a 8-day period, don't you think those 40 reservations may have time to not interfere with each other on those hunts? Or is there a particular reason why it's just a 2-day hunt?
We just want to be conservative on the National Wildlife Refuge in that area. That
You still get the same 40 people.
What's that?
You still get if it's limited to 40 people, 40 reservations, and you do it over an 8-day period, you may spread that out rather than having a congested 2-day period.
Yeah, we can look into that if that's the commission standing on it.
I'd like to see that extended to whether you wouldn't have a congested 2 days with 40 reservations rather than an 8-day where there's a choice.
Where you can spread it out.
Director Janae, I think you had a comment to that.
I might.
Yeah. Thank you for the record, Alan, Janae, and Justin may be getting there. But one of the points to consider within this is that this is based on a daily bag limit. So with this conservative approach on harvest is you would have to change it so that basically, and we haven't done this on any other birds that I know of other than turkeys, is their limit would be, 4 birds over 2 days instead of a daily bag limit, because otherwise they would be in a daily bag limit for that entire season that you just proposed.
I was looking at a 4-day limit period over the 8 days. 4-bird period. 4-bird limit. Or yeah. 1, 4, is it how many per day? 2 per day and 4 in possession.
Mr. Espinosa, did you?
Yeah, one comment on there. Thank you for the question, Commissioner Booth. Sean Espinosa, Game Division Administrator, for the record. If you'll think back, there was a period where we had 2 hunt periods for that particular hunt. There was an early and a late. But being that this is kind of the first year we feel comfortable holding that season again, we kind of wanted to have it be incremental rather than have it go all at once. If we continue to see population performance like we have for the Sheldon, we may consider another period next year. So we kind of want to see how this goes this year. In the past, we've had as many as 50 participants in each one of those 2-day hunt periods, and we've never had really anybody complain about hunter congestion or anything like that. Sheldon's fairly large, a lot of places to go. So think about that too, in terms of there being the potential for 2 hunt periods in the future. So just wanted to bring that to light.
Thank you.
Right. Any other questions, comments from, yes, Commissioner Bourne?
Yeah, my questions are on the bobcat pelt sealing dates. There are duplicates on February 17th, Elko and Tonopah, February 18th, Ely and Pioche, and then on March 10th, there's no sealing date in Ely. I would like to see what happens with when you have a pelt sealing date in Elko and Tonopah. You divide fur buyers. One goes to Elko, another company goes to Tonopah, and then the pricing on the pelts goes down in both places because there's no competition for the buying of the pelts. If we could have those split up to where Tonopah, it was like 16th and 17th, Elko on 16th, Tonopah on 17th, and same thing with the 18th. If we could split that up into the 18th and possibly the 19th between Ely and Pioche, where we did have that competition. And also, I had a couple of calls last year on the end of season dates. because there's no end of season March 10th date in Ely. Everybody that wants to sell pelts from White Pine County has to either drive to clear to Tonopah or clear to Pioche or Elko to seal a pelt.
Thanks for the question, Commissioner Boren. I might defer to Sean Espinosa, the administrator, on that, as he would know a little bit more what him and Russell's talked about. So as soon as I made a comment on that, that would probably be wrong.
Yeah, thanks for the question, Commissioner Boren, Sean Espinosa, staff or Game Division Administrator for the record. So you want to add which dates to
Add a March 10th date in Ely.
And so typically we see some of these fur buyers or use that Fallon fur sale as kind of that that period to go purchase during that period. So I'm not sure it's quite necessary.
I'm okay with the March 10th one. I just did have people with questions on it, but the February 17th Elko Tonopah duplicate and the February 18th Ely Pioche duplicate, if we could separate those dates.
Yeah, if we could find an additional weekend in there, we can add that. Do you have a recommendation for that?
February, I know it's February 16th, President's Day. If we could do Elko on the 17th and then possibly Tonopah on the 19th. And then the Ely Pioche one on the 18th and 20th.
So Pioche would change to the 20th?
Yes.
Okay. Looks like staff likes that, so we're good.
I saw that. Thank you.
Yeah, it's difficult without having Russell there because, you know, there's always some sort of intricacy about this that sometimes escapes me. So,
yes, I understand. Thank you. So, so on the Ely one, we were not doing anything on March 10 for Ely, or okay, easy enough. Right. Anything else from the commission?
So just make sure we know. Yeah.
All right. Seeing none, let's go ahead and maybe send this out for public comment here in Elko. So any public comment here in Elko on agenda item 27A?
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Joel Blakesley, I'm speaking for the Nevada Trappers Association. Now, were you just talking about February 20th? Was that the dates we were just talking? That's the weekend that we often have the Fallon Fur Sale, so we have a tagging at the sale that weekend. So
yeah, I didn't have a date on here for the sale. So
yeah, well, some weekends it's the third weekend in February, and others it's the fourth weekend. Lately, the way it's been working out, it's that weekend. So there's likely going to be a tagging in Fallon on the 20th and the 21st and whatnot. So just FYI, but the association is in favor of the Elko change that was put forward by NDOW. and the change from Panaca to Pehote. But these new ones, obviously, we'd like as many taggings as we could get, but that particular weekend is possibly a conflict with how many people from Endow can do taggings, So
If we did it on the 13th of February.
That's awesome.
Okay. Fine with that.
That covers it, but. Okay, so now I want to talk about what I came to talk about. The seasons for the cat season aren't really up for discussion right now. It was mostly the deal, but the seasons are chosen with a set of protocols, harvest efforts, recruitment rates, couple other fur prices and stuff like that. Everything looks really good. In fact, the production of young bobcats this year is the 12th highest in the last 45 years. And it's within a couple of points of damn near being the highest. So the predators are doing great. Just let you guys know that. It's great for trappers, probably not great for chukar hunters and quail hunters and turkey hunters and whatnot. But I just like to make the statement that Nevada has the best science in the world when it comes to bobcats. There isn't another state out there that's got the data we have for as long as we have. It's just awesome. We got 45 years of consistent data, consistent collection, and it's policed very well. We collect jaws off of every animal. We get a biological read on whether it's a young of the year, and the sex and the harvest units that they come out of. So it's managed extremely well, and I want to compliment Endow for that, for all of the decades that we've done this. So Trappers Association is fine with the season we've got, and we're okay with the dates, other than that possible conflict with the sale. So thank you.
Thank you. All right. Any other public comment here in Elko?
My name is Mike Stevens. I want to talk about the split limits or bag limits for Huns and chukar. It wasn't brought up during this gentleman's presentation. I was at the Alco Cab meeting in 24 where they voted against having the split bag limits. They voted for just 6 in 18. I believe Humboldt County also voted against the split limits for chukar and Hun. I was at the Elko Cab meeting last week. I brought this up to the Elko Cab. They said they did not want to take action on it because they did not feel like the commission, the State Wildlife Commission, would respect their decision, and that wouldn't back them, and then it would just be a waste of their time. I'm here to tell you that not that many people in Elko County are that excited about the split limit. There's only 2 counties in the state of Nevada that have high population of Huns. It makes us a target for other sportsmen from other states to come here and directly hunt. There's already plenty of conflict with sportsmen in the state, with ranchers and other things. It's just added stress on everything. We're on the edge of what you would call good bird habitat for chukar. If we have the wrong winter, our chukar populations drop to absolutely nothing. So as a sportsman, I'm just asking you guys if we could go back to an aggregate or whatever, a combined limit of 6 for chukar and Huns. Thank you.
Thank you.
Steve Marcus, White Pine County. We're in support of the upland game and fur bearer season bag limits, with the exception of those parts of 121 and 131 for the sage grouse on the 2-day season. And the reason we have concerns is the population is up and stuff. We would prefer to see a little more stability before we go out there and start hunting them. At that time of year, they're very tied to water, and a lot of the locals know what that water source is. So it can get really hectic out there at that time. In the 131 unit, we've got the Hamilton area, and there's just a few springs that they really tend to congregate at. And then in 131, there's also over in the White River area, there's a few ridges they like to come down to the water, but the locals know that, and so they get hammered. In the 121 unit, there's basically 3 huntable populations where they go to spend the fall. The Gleason Bothwick area, same thing, they're tied to certain water areas. Then there's the Steptoe Bench area, same thing, they come down to the ranches and then they're just on the bench, they get hit pretty hard. Then up on the Telegraph upper area, there are certain springs they like up there, and they just congregate. So we were just hoping for a consideration, maybe postpone it 1 year, see if we can get numbers up and just a little bit more stable population going. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Any other public comment here in Elko? All right. Seeing none. How about any public comment via Zoom?
Camera Swing here. I'd love to comment.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
Camera Swing here of Elko.
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Commission, thank you for your time. I'm a resident, Camaswing, Kamaswing for the record, out of Elko, Spring Creek specifically. You guys are doing a great job. Thank you for all your work, commissioners. Thank you, Endow. You have the sportsmen in mind. As an avid chucker hunter who tries to go 3 or 4 times a week if we can, I want to bring up the idea that was spoken earlier of a mixed bag. I feel like when we have a mixed bag, it can lead to potential complications, and an aggregate bag would be better in many situations. One of them being, I just want to point this out that say the numbers of chucker are great like they were the last few years, and we go out and we got 6 birds in our bag, and we're headed back to the truck with our limit. We're happy we got our chucker. And we walk back, and there's split seconds decisions. I don't know if any of you guys hunt chucker and huns at all, but if you have, you know the time to identify a chucker versus a hun can be extremely difficult, especially when there's singles and doubles. And you shoot, and you go, I hope that was a hun, and it ends up potentially not being. It could be a solo chucker. My point is it puts the hunter at risk. And I do not like that. I am not a fan of it at all. I mean, it could potentially hurt bird numbers, all of that. All of those lenses could put someone who's out trying to be a great sportsman at a potential risk. And I want to encourage you as a commissioners to look at that number again and say, is this the best thing for the hunter and the best thing for the birds? I know that our bird numbers are great right now. It's fantastic. But like stated earlier, we could have a bad winter and not enough sagebrush, and those bird numbers can plummet. So not only to help the bird numbers, but to help the hunter and protect the hunter, I think it should be looked at again and considered to go back to an aggregate bag just to help protect the hunters. And I appreciate you guys. I appreciate our Endow and everything that you guys do. Thank you.
All right. So no additional public comment. We'll bring it back to the commission. With that, I would like, if I could have the department maybe comment on the couple of questions. One is, I know the gentleman from White Pine County had a question on 121 and 131, or maybe not necessarily a question, but a suggestion to maybe reduce those numbers. I know that, as you mentioned earlier in your presentation, Mr. Small, that the numbers are negligible and extremely conservative. But anyway, just curious the department's thoughts on the notion of 121 and 131.
That was for 121 and 131.
I'm sorry?
The question from the gentleman from White Pine County, that was for 121 and 131.
Yes.
Yes. We understand some concerns. We've heard those concerns as well. But based off of blood count numbers and population objectives, we feel that that area met the criteria to open it for a hunt. As far as birds being tied to water, they're tied to water other parts of the state too. I know when you get down into the basin range areas, it's a little drier. You're in between that kind of inflection of sometimes not the northern climate above I-80 where it's a little wetter and birds can be tied to water, but we can also say that for chukar too. Other times a year, we have tried to push those seasons back for sage grouse across the years in order to get them off water, mainly to get population augmentation to happen where you're not shooting hens with broods. And but I realize there can always be issues at the local and site scale around some areas. But we feel overall the population objectives justifies that reason. Okay. But that's definitely taken into account, and I do appreciate that comment.
All right.
Try to take those in when we're thinking about it.
All right, perfect. Thank you for that. And then also, obviously, a couple of questions around the split bag limit and, mixed bag versus aggregate bag. Just curious if the department could maybe comment on some of those questions or concerns.
Yeah, we've kicked that around internally. I know for 30 years, it was close to 30 years after talking to Alan, Director Janae, that it was 6 and 18. We wanted to put some focus on Huns, so we thought we'd split it out last season. And there's probably potential for revisiting, combining it back in the aggregate next year, not in the biennium. It's hard to make changes in the biennium. Not hard, it can be done, but we didn't want to look like we're kind of flip-flop back and forth from going to a 4 and 6 and then jump back to an aggregate. But if that's the feeling of the regions and the public, then we definitely revisit that in the future. If the leadership has any more comments, I'll defer to them as well.
Yes, Director Janae.
Thank you for the opportunity. This is Alan Janae for the record. And so, yeah, I know there's a lot of discussion around this, and with this biennium season setting, it was decided to stick with the proposal from last year, which is the split. One of the things that we've been contemplating is trying to do a survey of, the upland game hunters to try to understand their use and their attitudes towards the Hungarian partridge, and see how to learn more about how they're using these birds or what their thoughts are and their acceptance. And I hear this, there's many different opinions as far as this split because it is change. And I've heard probably from the western side of the state a very high support for it. Probably over here in eastern Nevada, as you saw, a little higher sensitivity towards it. Given that they live with these birds, and as expressed, lived here for many years, hunted birds while I was here. Elko was always one bad winter away from a whole lot less birds. And so this is one of the things I think we need to lean into and kind of understand. As you saw last year when we proposed this regulation, it was much about trying to take advantage of the populations and the expansion of Hungarian partridge. And I think that's something we just need to gather more information about.
Yeah. All right, good.
And Chairman Rogers, if I could, Wildlife Staff Specialist Justin Small for the record. And I wanted to make a correction last time when I got up here when we was doing season settings and split it into the aggregate last season. I had said that all Western states are now split bags. Montana actually isn't, but they only have chukar in Carbon County. in one of the counters. There could be a sporadic small populations, but that's the reason it is still an aggregate, because most of it's Hungarian partridge. Oregon has still an aggregate bag, but all the western states like Utah, Idaho, they're five. I think Utah's 5-5. Don't hold me, but Idaho's 6-6. It might be 8-8. I'm not 8-8. So we're one of the few. But I do get, if anything is a tradition and it's long held in establishment with an aggregate, it's hard to change. And I realize that. So that's up for conversation, but I think that'll be more revisited, like Director Janae said, in depth last go around.
All right, perfect.
Next go around in 2026.
Perfect. All right. Anything else from the commission at this time? Any questions? Additionally, yes, Commissioner Booth.
Yes, just for the record, I appreciate your information. And for the gentleman that was confused after he had 6 birds, there's no reason why a hunter can't stop at 6 with an aggregate of whatever they want. My personal opinion is I'd like the separate quota for the Hungarians and Chukar, and the majority of the hunters, and as Director Janae mentioned, in the west side of the state, they were very pleased that we went to that for the reason of getting 4 Hungarians, 2 Chukar, and then you're done for the day. At least you can continue hunting and working your dog. So it's not all just that direction that I would like to see us go. There's 2 sides to every story. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's all right. Thank you for that. Any other questions from the commission on this? Commissioner Bourne, did you still thinking? Just for clarification on these dates for the bobcat pelt sealing, I know we were throwing a bunch of different dates out there, so I just wanted to clarify again. Elko, the January 13, Feb 17, and March 10, and then Ely was January 14, Feb 18. I just want to, okay, and then nothing. I know we talked about March 10, but nothing March. Okay, and then again, Pioche was the only other one, and we're considering a Feb 13 and March 10 in Pioche.
Yes.
Okay.
So in Pinoche, Sean wrote down 20, and so did that change?
I'm sorry.
So in Pinoche, when Sean was up here, he'd worked on the 20th. Has that changed?
No.
Okay, so it's still 20 for Pinoche. The change there.
No. So on specific to Pioche, Feb 13, March 10.
Okay.
Specific to Pioche, and then Tonopah, I have Feb 19, March 10.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Okay. With that, anything else from the commission? Again, comments, motion. If nothing, I'll take a stab at a motion, I guess, and move us forward. All right. So I'd like to make a motion for approval of Commission Regulation 24-13, Amendment 1 for the 2025-2026 upland game and fur bear seasons and bag limits as presented, with a couple of noted changes. One, on page 2 to the Sheldon National Wildlife Refuge Special Sage Grouse Hunt, that bottom section, the removal of the last sentence there.
Yes.
All right. And then also with the noted changes to the bobcat pelt sealing dates, and that noted change being for Pioche, changing from Feb 18 to February 13. And then the noted change in Tonopah from February 17 to February 19.
And then Elko and Ely is going to stay the same.
Correct.
Okay.
All right. So we have a motion for approval from the chair. We have a second from Commissioner Bourne. All those in favor with aye? Aye. Any opposed? All right. Moving on to 27B. This is Commission Regulation 25-01, Amendment Number 1, 2025 application deadlines, draw result dates, and 2026 spring turkey application deadlines and draw result dates. Data and Technology Services Division Administrator, Mr. Matt Maples. The Commission will review and may approve the proposed addition of the Sheldon National Wildlife Refuge Special Sage Grouse Hunt application deadline and draw dates. Mr. Maples.
Yes, thank you, Chair Rogers, members of the Commission, Matt Maples, Data and Technology Services Division Administrator for the record. This regulation is to amend the 2025 application deadlines and draw results, and that would specifically include an application period and draw date for the Sheldon National Wildlife Refuge Special Sage Grouse Hunt, which was not included when the draw dates were previously approved at the January 24 to 25 Commission meeting. With that, I'll happy to answer any questions. The deadline for the draw would be Monday, August 11th, and results would be provided to successful or unsuccessful applicants by Friday, August 22nd.
Right. And I apologize, Mr. Maples. Did you say an August date?
Yes.
And
on page 3 of the CR in blue text, we've added the application deadline and the draw results, 2 paragraphs.
Gotcha. Yes. All right. Monday, August 11th. Right. Perfect. Questions on that from the commission? Concerns? Comments? Easy enough. So with that, let's send that out for any public comment here in Elko. Any public comment here in Elko on 27B? All right. Seeing no public comment here in Elko, how about any public comment via Zoom? All right, so no additional public comment. We'll bring it back to the commission for any additional discussion or motion. I'll take all comers. Commissioner Walther?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would make a motion to approve Commission Regulation 2501, Amendment 1, application deadlines, draw result dates, and 2026 spring turkey application period deadlines as presented.
All right, perfect. All right, so we have a motion from Commissioner Walther. We have a second from Commissioner Booth. All those in favor with aye? Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, that motion carries. All right, we will move on now to agenda item 27C, Commission Regulation 25-04, Amendment Number 1, 2026 Heritage Tag Vendors. Committee Chairman Tom Barnes and Data and Technology Division Administrator Mr. Matt Maples. The Commission will review the Wildlife Heritage Committee's recommendations regarding heritage tag vendor proposals and wild turkey quota for 2026 and may take action on the proposals. Commissioner Barnes.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you can see in your material, the recommendations that the Heritage Committee came up with for the tag vendors. We reviewed this again at our last meeting the other day and made no changes. Commissioner Caviglia had a lot of input in this. And as you look at the historical, what these tags have done historically, I mean, it's been really, they've done really well. And so I think Commissioner Caviglia has done his homework and has guided us the right way. And so this is the Heritage Committee's recommendation to the commission.
All right, perfect. With that, any question, anything else, Mr. Maples, on your part?
Yes, thank you, Chair Rogers, members of the commission. Just one small addition to that would be to note the reduction of the wild turkey quota in the Heritage CR from 5 to 4, with the intent to add that to the Silver State drawing, which will be in the next agenda item.
Okay. All right, perfect. Any questions from the commission on that, or concerns or comments? All right. With that, seeing none, let's go ahead and send that out for any public comment here in Elko. Any public comment here in Elko on 27C?
Good morning, Chairman Rogers and Commission. Maureen Jefferson for the Wild Sheep Foundation and the Fraternity of Desert Bighorn Sheep proposal. As you're aware, the Wild Sheep Foundation has been fundraising and in partnership with NDOW for an amazing 36 years. And in more recent years as a joint proposal with their affiliate, the Fraternity of Desert Bighorn. And in that time, they've raised $3.9 million for conservation and the heritage account for NDOW. This past January, at the convention, they were able to raise $170,000 for the desert bighorn sheep and $55,000 for the antelope, which was matching the record in the prior year. It's pretty incredible. Today, I'd like to request your continued support of the Wild Sheep Foundation and the fraternity as Heritage Tag vendors, and hope you'll approve the recommendation from the Heritage Committee. And we appreciate your continued confidence in us in raising funds for Nevada and their conservation. We appreciate it.
Thank you. All right. Any additional public comment here in Elko? All right. Seeing none, how about any public comment via Zoom? All right. Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the commission for any further discussion or motion. Commissioner Walther?
I would move to approve Commission Regulation 25-4, Amendment 1, 2026 Heritage Tag Vendors as presented.
All right. All right. So we have a motion from Commissioner Walther, a second from Commissioner Barnes. All those in favor with an aye? Aye. Any opposed? Right. That carries. Moving on to 27D, this is Commission Regulation 25-14, 2026 Silver State Turkey Tag, Data and Technology Services Division Administrator Matt Maples. The Commission will consider and may take action to approve the 2026 Silver State Wild Turkey Season and Quota. Mr. Maples.
Yes, thank you, Chairman Rogers, members of the Commission. Matt Maples, Division Administrator, Data and Technology Services for the record. At the direction of the Heritage Committee, this regulation would establish a 2026 season and quota for a Silver State Wild Turkey Tag. The combined Heritage and Silver State tag quotas may not exceed 15 big game tags and 5 wild turkey tags per NRS 502.250. 4 wild turkey tags were proposed within the Heritage Tag program for 2026, and this leaves 1 remaining wild turkey tag for the Silver State program. And the CR would establish a season quota for that wild turkey tag with dates that would match the Heritage tags.
All right. Perfect. Thank you for that. Any questions, comments at all with regards to or for the commission on that agenda item? I did have one quick question, Mr. Maples. I think I know the answer, but we have never offered a turkey tag on the Silver State program before in the past.
Nope, this will be the first year.
The first year. Oh, perfect. Good. All right. Anything else from the commission? Seeing none, let me send this out then for public comment. Any public comment here in Elko on agenda item 27D? All right. Seeing none, how about any public comment via Zoom on 27D? All right, I'll bring it back for the commission on any further discussion, comments. Commissioner Barnes, you want to make your last motion?
I'm good, but thanks. But with that, I would move to approve Commission Regulation 25-14, 2026 Silver State Turkey Tag as presented.
There, I was waiting for that. So I have a motion from Commissioner Barnes. We have a second from Commissioner McNinch. All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that carries. Thank you for that. All right, agenda item now 28. This is future commission meetings and commission committee assignments. Secretary Janae, Chairman Rogers, possible action. The next commission meeting is scheduled for August 15 and 16, 2025 in Ely. The commission will review and discuss potential agenda items for that meeting. The commission may change the date, time, and meeting location at this time. The chair may designate and adjust committee assignments and add or dissolve committees as necessary at this time. Any anticipated committee meetings that may occur prior to the next commission meeting may be discussed. So, Director Janae.
Thank you. For the record, Alan Janae. So things that we have coming typically in August is there's the chair and vice chair election. We'll have a report out on the WAFWA summer meeting, a public works contracts report, and then application and hunt statistics report, because all of the hunt applications will be done. So we'll give you a report at that time. Other items that I have on my list coming out of this meeting is before the next meeting, we will have you a draft letter for state wildlife grant and section 6 to delegation. And then also at next meeting, because August is often a great opportunity in the rural communities, as we like to take advantage of that and the rather open agenda and get out on some field trips. So one of the contemplations that's currently in the mix is possibly having a Mule Deer Enhancement Program field trip, possibly on Thursday afternoon. And then Friday, another field trip, tentatively thinking going to the fair, the White Pine County Fair, seeing the conservation education, fishing pool, and other things that we're doing at that fair in association with Commissioner Bourne. And then maybe taking a trip up and letting you guys see the completed Cave Lake Dam. And then there might be an opportunity for some mist netting with the biodiversity division, early evening, kind of dusk, kind of a bat mist netting. So those are some opportunities there. The other things that I have on my list is the Emerging Technologies Committee, probably meeting again to discuss thermals. And then you also wanted to have a conversation at the next meeting on demerits. And that's what I currently have on my list, and stand for any additions.
The only, thank you for that, Director Janae. The only other one that I had written down from yesterday's meeting was maybe a discussion at the next meeting around junior tag transfer. So if we could maybe have that as.
Thank you. I will add that
as well.
And then I did hear Deputy Director Scott mention a possible TAC meeting before the next. I think we may have two.
Well, hey, sure.
Double down.
All right. Anything else from the commission on agenda? Yes, Commissioner Booth.
Yes, just with the committee assignments, with our Wildlife Damage Management Committee, with Commissioner Barnes no longer being here. Our next meeting will be in Vegas, I believe in September. So that gives us 2 meetings to have not only a commissioner, but also a representative for that committee.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, so yeah, noted there on the committee assignments, obviously with the the departure of Commissioner Barnes, Commissioner McNinch, we'll have to look at some those committees and make some decisions on that as well. So we will certainly work towards that. All right. Anything else from the commission? All right. Seeing none, I think we are good there. We will move to agenda item now number 29. This is public comment period, informational. Public comment will be limited to 3 minutes. No action can be taken by the commission at this time. Any item requiring commission action may be scheduled on a future commission agenda. Persons making comments are asked to begin by stating their name for the record. So with that, is there any public comment here in Elko? Yes, Director Janae.
Chair, just wanted to make sure that on agenda item 28, that was for possible action, so that possible opportunity for public input on that.
Oh, sure. Yep. I saw that. I didn't, but yes, let me throw
Sorry, just wanted to.
No, hey, that's
keep
all
it
right.
straight.
Keep me on the straight and narrow. So yeah, so let's, if we could, on agenda item 28, again, that is possible, for possible action, again, regarding future commission meetings and commission committee assignments. With that, any public comment on agenda item number 28? Future commission meetings. All right. Any public comment via Zoom on commission on agenda item 28, future commission meetings?
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, Jana Wright, Las Vegas. I was curious about Senate Bill 215 and Senate Bill 235 that are effective October of this year. Is there anything that the commission or the department has to do? I guess my big question is on the shed antler that Senator Hansen says now we can do. Does that impact the current reg on certain counties and time certain and the shed antler certificate you need? Those are just some questions I had. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment on agenda item 28 at this time, future commission meetings?
Yes, for the record, Fred Volz. Point of clarity, will there be Zoom access from Ely? In the past, there's been a problem with internet connections from that location. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment regarding 20? Okay, perfect. Before we move on to that, if maybe the department would speak to both of those items, the SB 235 and then also Zoom access in Ely.
Thank you for the record, Alan Janae. And so what we will do is we will come forward with those regulations, as you are aware, off of Ms. Medina's presentation, as vetoes just ended just currently. So we'll come forward with those regulations that were passed, those NRSs, and we'll give an update as to how those affect the commission and kind of the timelines associated with, and we'll be asking you for direction on how to move forward. As far as Ely commission meeting, we are absolutely trying to make sure that we will have Zoom and that it will be that it will stand up to the rigors of video, but we'll verify that as we're working through that venue.
All right, perfect. Thank you. All right, with that, again, public comment period. This is our last agenda item now, agenda item 29. Any public comment, or excuse me, public comment period. I did ask for, but I'll ask again, any public comment here in Elko? All right, seeing none, any public comment via Zoom?
Stephanie Myers, Las Vegas, for the record. I want to thank Dave McNinch for being such a compassionate, helpful, intelligent, and thoughtful person. I remember many years ago when my sweet dog had just been caught in a lake-hold trap, suffering severe injuries. I went to the local cab for the first time, telling my story, hoping to receive maybe a little kindness or at least a modicum of concern. But what I ran into was the opposite. A deaf ear, absolutely no understanding, not even a bit of interest. Actually, to be honest, what I received was, to my surprise at the time, hostility and antagonism. And if any of you wonder, that is how an activist is born. But Dave, you took several of us aside after my first Wildlife Commission meeting. It was at the Las Vegas Convention Center. You took the time and the caring to talk with us late into the night about the ins and outs of wildlife protection and gave us a necessary and helpful guide into the inner workings of the Nevada Wildlife Commission, good and bad. Always during our long friendship, you took the time to listen and to explain what and how and why the other side was thinking about any issue, expanding our understanding. You've always been there, completely available to discuss the issues, to really hear and guide us. And there is no way in the world you could ever be replaced. You leave a huge hole. You will be sorely missed. I will miss you. Dave, you have my gratitude and my love. Thank you.
For the verbatim record, Fred Volz. Over many years, this commission has had only a few hunting members who have bothered to engage or consider any perspective beyond servicing and empowering licensees and their activities. Commissioners Robb, Young, Hubbs, and particularly McNinch opened their minds to alternatives. By choosing to do so, it doesn't mean they were or are any less supportive of ethical hunting or weak or disloyal to the hunting community or public agencies. With Commissioner McNinch's departure, this state will lose tremendous institutional knowledge. He has tried mightily to reach compromise on contentious issues. It has been tragic to see the dismissive and abusive public treatment of Commissioner McNinch by many licensees. Considerations he has legitimately raised, if handled equitably and based on real science and conservation, would burnish the reputation of the state, commission, and department. But they have been frequently ignored with silence. While we don't know the identity of those who will replace Commissioners McNinch and Barnes, previous appointments suggest we will have 9 single-minded hunters out of 9 commissioners. The non-licensee public, comprising 95% of human Nevadans, the landscape, and wildlife, will have no representation. If one or both of our hunting governors, Callow, wildlife advisors, are tuning into this meeting or scan the minutes when they are produced, perhaps they will give thought toward making this commission proportionally representative of all Nevadans, human and wildlife. As it stands, this commission and its department are effectively running a private killing club from the public treasury, not a public agency. Thank you.
Director Janae.
I know we all want to get out of here. I just want to say thank you one more time to the commissioners, but also if you looked outside the windows, you see flashing lights. I just want to make a note to everybody that's in attendance as we wrap up this meeting, if we can disperse quickly. There is a protest that is starting at the park and heading this way. So they're anticipated to reach here about 1 o'clock. So it's noon now. I think we've got more than enough time, but just on a word of caution, expedite your departure.
Wonderful. Thank you, Director Janae. With that, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.